Last week, I went on a date with a man and I had to ask him if he's ever kissed a guy before. If you're like, I'm sorry, what? Then you've never been in that situation and you should be very grateful. I've done a whole debrief on YouTube of just like the breakdown of every date that I've been on for my dating challenge so far. I gave you guys the Storytime breakdowns there and we just really get into it. Now I feel like we enter the part of the dating challenge where I'm like, bring me the old men, bring me somebody's grandfather. I'm kidding. Could you deadass imagine if I was like, okay, it's time for me to go out with a 70-year-old? No. I am going 10 years older just because it's like, what is there to lose? Like nothing, there's literally nothing to lose. But I will say dating older is like so obvious by like the emojis they use. They love a gif. I'm like, come on now. Whatever, if I'm gonna date older, I have to deal with it. One thing I was really not expecting about the dating challenge was like how much I genuinely like it. I think this is what dating should have been the entire time. I don't know what I was doing in the past. Other life updates I have for you guys. This will be the first time in 4 years that I'm not moving, and thank God. Because if you remember last year, me having like severe mental breakdowns about moving, I simply just cannot do it again. I'm staying in place. Like, I'm not moving. That's honestly a really big deal for me. Also, I know you guys want a lot of guests on the podcast, so I've been bringing guests on. I just did an episode with Christine, so go check that out on my YouTube channel. Guys, I did low-key graduate from therapy. She was like, we can do monthly sessions or like you can just like text me when you need me. And I was like, we're sticking to monthly sessions. That's not even funny. Like I can't imagine life without her. Someone's been asking me about this new lip combo. It's Clinique Black Honey. If you guys are also doing the dating challenge, let me know how it's going for you. I want to know. Those are the dating updates I have for you. Go watch the Storytime on YouTube. It's very unfiltered. I maybe should have taken it back a notch. Those are my life updates. Okay, love you.
My boyfriend was super rude to my friends when they invited him to their home, and now I don't know what to do. My friends wanted to meet and get to know my new boyfriend, so they invited us over for dinner this evening. My friend cooked a whole vegetarian banquet for my boyfriend as he does not eat meat, and even made a specialty cocktail related to his home country. She really put in a lot of effort. When he saw all the food that he cooked, he simply responded, "You didn't have to do that much. I would have just been happy with pizza." After taking a few sips of the cocktail, he loudly announced that it was too sweet and asked me if I wanted to finish his. When my friend and boyfriend were talking about wine, he scoffed at her favorite wines and started lecturing her on why his selections were better. After he left, I sat and chatted with them, and they begged me not to say anything to him because they thought that he might just have been nervous and they didn't want to make him feel ashamed. But I'm livid. This man is in his 40s. How could he behave like this? I really want to dump him because I'm appalled, but I know that's a knee-jerk feeling. Am I overreacting, or is this legit to be upset about?
Am I the asshole for not getting my daughter-in-law coffee because she hates tea? This feels really stupid, but I need to know if I'm the problem here or not. My son seems to think that I'm the problem. My daughter-in-law loves coffee. She's the type of person that will go and get coffee every morning. It's not uncommon that if she goes out to get coffee, she'll also pick up coffee for other people as well. The issue is, she'll never get me a tea or any tea lattes. As she puts it, it's leaf water that she doesn't want to spend her money on. I'm asking her to get me a $5 thing of tea if she's already picking up everyone $8 fancy coffees. I'm asking for a tea latte or an iced tea that I literally can't make at the time. I don't think you're wrong. She can choose what she wants to spend her money on, and the moment that you don't get her coffee, you're the problem. I'm not gonna make any assumptions just yet. We're gonna wait till we get there. But that's what I'm feeling this is gonna be like. My daughter-in-law will come back from getting coffee with everyone's drink but mine. It's really frustrating on trips because I'll be driving most of the time. She'll take everyone's order and go in while I'm either getting gas or snacks for the trip, to then come back without any caffeine. Then I'll have to go into the shop and get my drink myself. No, you're absolutely not the asshole. She's doing this on purpose. Honestly though, I think it's a bigger issue than coffee. I feel like there's some other issue underlying. It may just be coffee, but I feel like it's a bigger issue because she's offering to get coffee for everybody else. You mean to tell me that she drinks every single one of those drinks and she's willing to spend her money on it? But the moment that you want something that she doesn't like, it's okay for her to purposely exclude you? I feel like it's not about coffee or tea. There's been so many times that she'll ask in the group chat if anyone wants something from Starbucks. I'll tell her what I want, and then she'll come back with everyone's drink but mine. Talking to her doesn't help. She just claims that I can make it at home. Pot, meat, fucking kettle. Because if I can make the tea at home, you can make your fucking coffee at home. Like I said, this is something more than just coffee or tea. On to the issue. I was going over to babysit the grandkids for my son and daughter. There were 4 adults. I sent a text message saying that I was stopping at Starbucks and asked if they wanted anything. This is the exact same thing that she does. They gave me their orders, and I decided that I wouldn't get my daughter-in-law her drink to make it a point, basically. I love you. I love you. You're so fucking petty. I love it. I love it. That's exactly what you should have done. I got to where everyone was, and I gave everyone their drink except for my daughter-in-law. She was pissed. I pointed out this is the same thing that she does with me all the time. She told me it wasn't the same, and I can make tea at home. Bitch, you can make coffee at home. You act like the only place to get fucking coffee is from an actual coffee shop. If I can make tea at home, you can make coffee at home. They make all these nifty little machines for those who don't want to make the trip every day to do it in their fucking homes. It's 100% possible. It's the exact same fucking thing. I just told her she can make her own coffee at home and told her the pot was right there. We got into a fight and my son told me to apologize and get her drink. Boy, fuck you and her. How about that? So it's okay when your wife purposely excludes me all the goddamn time, but the moment I do it one fucking time to prove a point, I need to apologize and go and get her drink. Like I said, boy, fuck you. I told him no and said that I'm tired of this. I've spoken to them multiple times, and if she doesn't change what she does, I'll never get her drink when I get drinks for others. They left, but after babysitting, I'm still hearing about it, and I need your opinions. So am I the asshole? No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. All you did was match her fucking energy. That's all you did. Your son and his wife are the biggest assholes in this story, because how is it okay that your fuck ass wife can ask everybody what their order is and then purposely exclude your mother, purposely bring everybody else's drink back except for hers? And it's okay because she doesn't want to spend her money on that. But when your mother does the exact same thing, every move was identical to your wife's, now it's a knockdown, drag out fight. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Like I said before, this is way bigger than just coffee. It's way bigger than just coffee. We have an update. OP said that she sent the link to this story to her son and told him that they needed to talk. I just got off the phone with my daughter-in-law and my son. Yes, they've seen this post. I sent it to them. My daughter-in-law apologized and said the issue has nothing to do with me. I thought she just hated me, but this has to do with her own mother. My daughter-in-law and her mother have a bad relationship, and when she got married, she didn't wish for that type of relationship to happen again with me. It also didn't help that her sister has a horrible mother-in-law, so she thought she needed to be distant and cold from the start. So yes, she was being rude on purpose. The post kind of opened her eyes that she was acting like her mother acts. I mean, you can accept that, but I'm not gonna fucking accept that. I have a horrible relationship with my mom, and my sister-in-law has a horrible relationship with her husband's mom, so I decided to be rude to you at every chance I got by telling you that I wasn't going to spend money on your teas. But the moment you did it to me, I said that it was different, and we had a fight about it. I call fucking bullshit. My son also apologized. He said that he realized he went too far in the direction of supporting his spouse. He admits that he did the easy thing because we don't live together. I informed them that I won't put up with being disrespected anymore, and hopefully nothing backtracks. We seem good now, but I have a feeling that more talks will happen. Anyway, thank you, Reddit. This was helpful. Now listen, I am not saying that OP's daughter-in-law does not have an issue with her mom. She probably could. I don't know this bitch from a can of fucking paint, so it's not on me to say that she doesn't. But what I can say is there's nothing but a whole lot of fucking excuses here. Absolutely no accountability. You are a grown-ass adult. You can only blame your behavior on mommy issues for so fucking long. I have a bad relationship with my mom, so I thought to avoid having a bad relationship with you in a family that I'm just marrying into, disrespect was the way to go. Are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, no, I highly doubt this will be the last time that OP has to have a conversation with her daughter-in-law and her son about them being disrespectful towards her.
I, 19 male, recently found out that the sister, 35 female, who has hated me my whole life is my biological mother. Like the title says, I very recently, found out that my sister, who has hated me my whole life, is not actually my sister at all, but is my biological mother. I never had any idea before. She was always hateful towards me, but I kind of just assumed that my arrival had changed a bunch within the family, and maybe there was less money for her to go to college or something, because I was born, and so she took it out on me. When I was 7 or 8, my parents, biologically, my grandparents, had to end their relationship with her because she was so hateful towards me. She called me names every time she saw me, and she was aggressive towards me. me. Like if I sat too close to her, she would tell me to get the F out of her way, or she would push me. She would tell me to leave the effing family because no one wanted me and I was a disgusting freak. She even tried to convince my other siblings, my aunts and uncles, technically, to lock me out of the house if my parents weren't home and let me run away. They told our parents, and when they confronted my sister, she told them life would be so much better if I ran away and got hit by a car in the process. So that was it for them from her. But even without direct contact, I was aware of how hateful she still was about me. I heard adults in the family discussing it. I heard my siblings talk about it. Nobody ever brought up the fact that I was her biological kid. When my sister found out that I found out, and for reasons I don't want to explain how that happened, she told me she hated me and I never deserved to exist. She said she wanted to see me broken and mangled, and that if I ever called her my mom or my mother, she would find some way to end me.
My roommate's boyfriend gifted me inappropriate underwear, so now I wear it around the house. I've lived with my roommate for quite a while now, and my boyfriend comes around all the time, which I don't mind. I go to work, I come home, I go to bed. And to be honest, we all grew pretty close together. We obviously spent a lot of time in the same area. And last year, my roommate did make a little comment to me. My roommate, she's tall and slim, looks like a supermodel. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like short, curvy. Girls are there. My roommate has mentioned to me before that he feels uncomfortable when her boyfriend is around and I'm around in like vest tops or crop top, sports bras. So she literally said to me this is more of an insecurity. He hasn't mentioned anything. Anyway, for Christmas, me, my roommate, her boyfriend, just call him Mark, a few of our friends, a secret Santa. Anyway, my gift, obviously I didn't know who it was from, was some really appropriate underwear. The point where I just knew this had to be a girl that got me it, because if a guy got me it, it's very subjective. Kind of laughed at it, played it off. I then get a text 2 weeks later from Mark, so from my roommate's boyfriend, if I liked the underwear. Do I think he did a good job? Which obviously means he got me the underwear. I went straight to my roommate with this information. She then starts blaming me, shouting at me, saying that like, you know, I'm being inappropriate around him and he probably felt the need to get me it. Okay. Obviously, my response is start wearing it around the house. Why should I be made to feel uncomfortable about my body? And then somebody who I thought was my friend blame me for it. No, am I in the wrong for wearing this underwear around the house that he got me just to kind of get a bit of revenge?
Am I the asshole? We left our friend in another country. So a couple of years ago, me and 3 other lads went on a holiday to Cyprus. We all get along great and have for the last 4 years while in uni. This one guy in our group, Ellis, he's the type of guy that'll say he'll meet us at the train station at 8 a.m. And at 8:30, we'll give him a call and he'll just be hopping in the shower and leaving. He'd be late for his own funeral, graduation, and wedding. So after 5 days of sunbathing, drinking, and eating great food, it's our final day. We're all chilling in the villa and Ellis decides he wants to go for a hike. No stress, we have about 7 hours to leave. He heads off and we tell him that we'll get all of his stuff packed up and in the car so it's ready to go. It was all packed anyways. 3 hours go by and we give Ellis a call, saying that he needs to turn back now. He says no problem and he starts his journey back. He's having coffee at a cafe. You're not the asshole. Not at all. I'm assuming you guys are all grown-ass fucking adults. Ellis knew exactly how much time he had to get back before he fucking left. If him taking his sweet fucking time caused you guys to leave without him, that's his fault. Another 2 hours go by. We call Ellis and he says that he's on his way back, but it doesn't sound like he's moving. We check his location. He's at a cafe a 3-hour walk away. It's a Sunday. We don't know any taxi numbers or anything. So we give him a call saying that he needs to get a lift back to the apartment or to meet us at the airport. His response, "Don't worry, lads, I'll run back." We try and beg for him to just get a taxi, but he's frugal and he won't get one. So we text him saying that his suitcase is at the villa and we'll have to leave as our taxi was booked at the last minute anyway. He says, "That's fine, I'll make it back in time." He doesn't. He doesn't even try to make it back quickly. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This isn't the kind of person that I would even dare to think about going on a trip with. You're not going to make me miss my flight back because you want to take your sweet fucking time. You knew before you left the villa, you had 7 hours before you needed to be back to catch your flight. 6.5 hours later, all your friends are telling you that you need to hurry up and get back because we're getting ready to leave. You're 3 hours away and you're telling them, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to run and make it on time." Okay, I would have left his ass too. You're not wrong. 3 hours later, we're sitting on the plane and we get a flurry of texts. "I'm back now. Where are you? When's the taxi coming to pick me up?" As soon as you order a taxi to come and pick you up. What the fuck? We just said we got on the plane and he needs to get the next one. He was fuming. His parents and girlfriend are upset at us, but I can't help but feel like he deserved it. So am I the asshole? No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. You guys did everything that you were supposed to do. You let him know, like, okay, we got 7 hours between then. At the halfway mark, you called him like, hey, bro, you should head back this time because, you know, we getting ready to leave in a few hours. He heard you, acknowledged you, and lied and said that he was on his way back both times, even though he had not made any type of effort to be where the fuck he needed to be so he could leave on time. That's his bad. Ellis thought he was bigger than the fucking program, and he fucked around and found out, not over here, you're not. I really, really, truly, honestly, from the bottom of my ass, because it's bigger than my heart, want to know what his thought process was. Did you really think your entire friend group was going to miss their flight because you couldn't be bothered to head back on time? Did you really think they were going to ground a flight for 3 hours while they waited for you to decide when the fuck you wanted to head back to the villa to get in a taxi to go to the fucking airport? Like, what the fuck was the thought process? Genuinely, what was the thought process? You really thought your friends were going to wait and miss their flights because you decided that you were going to take your time making it back where you were supposed to be? That's crazy. Clearly, he wasn't ready to go home yet. Now he gets to stay another night. This would be a deal breaker for me. After this trip, I would not be able to be friends with this person. Not at all, because there's no fucking way in hell you really think you have the right to be upset at me, your mama, your daddy, your girlfriend, all y'all upset at me because you were told, not once, but twice, exactly how much time you had fucking left. You knew you had 7 hours when you left initially. You were called at the halfway mark and told maybe you should head back, but you chose to ignore it every single fucking time. Consequences caught up to your motherfucking actions, but now you're angry at me for not suffering your consequences. That's crazy. I was exactly where the fuck I needed to be when the taxi showed up. Why the fuck are you angry at me? Someone who had 3 hours to make his 3-hour walk back to where the fuck he was, but you chose to continue doing whatever the fuck you were doing instead. Yeah, no, we couldn't be friends after this. Hell, we wouldn't have been friends before this.
I'm going to end up on a Ohio State bar stool and maybe the rest of the internet. I apologize for what you are about to read and see when it comes out. I'm so sorry, but I have to get this off my chest and try and explain myself before I become known as the Ohio State tree. So this morning around 6:30, I came back to campus. I live off High Street, but don't have class on Mondays and spent the long weekend home, deciding to wake up early and commute back today. I didn't want to fall back asleep because I have an 8 a.m., so I was hanging out on the oval, sitting on one of the trees to the right of the Thompson statue. Its branches are a little lower, and I was using it kind of as a bench to sit on at first, then just sat down next to the tree on my backpack. There was a hole in it, and I kind of started poking my fingers in it. Some water squirted out, and I don't know what got into me, but I started really going at it.
With his fingers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think he was finger a tray.
It squirted again, and I might have moaned a little bit and went to lick it, and all of a sudden I heard a little scream, and I turned around, and there were 3 girls staring at me with their phones out recording.
It's the 3 of us.
I wish I saw this in person. And I was there on my knees hugging the tree with my tongue in the tree hole. I swear, I looked around and there was nobody there before I started. I don't know where the girls came from. I want to apologize, and please, if you have the video, do not post it anywhere. I'm literally begging you. I'm considering going to Ohio State student legal to negate the fallout damage if the video does come out, because I'm so scared. I will literally pay you to not post it. If you have the video, DM and we can work something out so my life isn't ruined.
I like how he prefaces it with like the whole story. I was at my mom's house for the whole day.
Another day, another story, and this one also happened at my college house, so the same house from my last video. So I had class one night, and it was a late class. It was like from 7 to 10 p.m. So after class, around 10:15, I was driving home, and as I got closer to my house, I noticed a man was standing outside our house and staring at our house. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I'm, driving up, and then I saw that the man's hand was moving around his waist area. And then as I got closer, I realized that the man was actually pleasuring himself, staring at our house at 10:15 p.m. So I drove into our garage because our garage was connected to our house. I drove in and I was like, oh my God, what is this man doing? I called my roommates. They came to my car and I was like, guys, there's a man standing outside pleasuring himself. What do we do? So we called the cops. I gave a description of the guy, but he was gone by the time that they came. And the cops drove up and around our street and they couldn't find him and they gave up. And that's the story of the man pleasuring himself outside our house at 10 p.m.
Am I wrong for not replacing one of my groomsmen after he cheated on a bridesmaid? My fiance and I are getting married in 2 months. I have 4 groomsmen, including my brother, cousin, a close childhood friend, and a close college buddy. My fiance's best friend was in a long-term relationship with him, but unfortunately for her, he got exposed as a cheater. I don't know the details of it, and honestly, I don't want to. I wasn't aware of the cheating prior to the time it was discovered. I feel that his relationship with her is none of my business. My fiancé, on the other hand, does. She now hates him and is demanding that I replace him. She said he'll be a toxic presence to our wedding because the woman he cheated on is going to be a bridesmaid. I was bothered by this. This guy is one of my closest friends. I have known him since we were 18. I want him to be a groomsman. I said that they both can go and just set aside their beef for one day. After all, the date isn't about them. It's about us, and the relationship is none of our business. She said that she was putting her foot down on this and that my friend wouldn't be in her wedding. I said that if it's that big of a deal, she can drop his ex from the wedding, and that if she doesn't want that, then we can go along with the initial plan. She's been pissed at me since and hasn't relented on this at all. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for leaving my daughter with my mom? I, 19 female, have a 9-month-old daughter that I share with my boyfriend, 19 male. I spent most of my pregnancy alone due to my boyfriend being in a different relationship. However, we have come together and moved past that and are doing great now. He goes to university 2 hours away from me, and he sees our daughter 4 times a month on weekends. I have been very stressed and have postpartum depression from being in the house all day. I was promised help and assistance when everyone, including my mom, found out I was pregnant. And for the first few weeks, my mom helped. However, anything after that, I was on my own. I had to buy her diapers, I do full-time schoolwork, and everything else online. These past few weeks, I've watched my friends go to parties, take videos on their story, having fun, and it's made me feel left out. My mom never helps and doesn't do anything for us. She's lazy and selfish, and I know that I deserve to live a normal teenage life. So a few days ago, I was invited to go to Houston, which is 3 hours away from where we live. I spent 3 nights with my friends and my daughter's dad. I left my daughter with my mom. I told her I'd be back in a few hours. However, I was mentally drained and needed a break. During this time, my phone broke and I wasn't able to get in contact with her. When I got back, my mom told me that she was going to call CPS on me and have my parental rights taken away. I don't see what I did that would equate to her threatening my motherhood and making me feel like a bad mom. I honestly don't feel I did anything to her that was bad, besides leaving her with her granddaughter, which she should be happy to spend time with. My aunt said I'm in the wrong. However, many of my friends have told me my mom is just looking to pick a fight. So, am I the asshole? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to go and ask to be adopted by the couple she's obsessed with? So my girlfriend Katie made a new friend a few months ago, Mary. Katie talked about her a lot. Mary said this, Mary did that. Mary started teaching her something. I thought it was a bit weird how much Katie seemed to look up to Mary, but I didn't think much of it until Mary's husband Joe entered the picture. From then on, Katie started talking about their relationship all the time. How they do things, how they divide the chores, how respectful they are to one another. Basically, they're the best couple ever. By the way, I have met them and they're honestly nothing special. Maybe a little bit on the boring side. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to go and ask to be adopted by the couple she's so obsessed with? I've met this couple and to me, they're honestly nothing special. Maybe even a bit on the boring side. Well, yesterday, Katie was going on and on about them again, saying things like Mary and Joe are true soulmates and theirs is the healthiest relationship she's ever seen. I had a really long day at work, so I told her I don't want to hear about them. I don't care about this random creepy crush, but if she likes them so much, she should go and ask them to adopt her. Or ask if she can be their third. Then she gave me the cold shoulder and went to her apartment instead of mine.
I moved out and took everything. It became apparent to me that last week my roommates were trying to drive me out of the house to get one of their boyfriends on my lease. When I told them I wanted to stay, they started staging incident and messes around the house so they could yell at me for them. It all came to a head when they called a meeting with me 2 days ago. One of them had to hold the other back as she screamed at me that she hated me and I was not welcome in the building. They proceeded to tell me that I contributed nothing to the house and wasted their space, and that they had all gotten with the landlady and convinced her not to renew my lease in June. I told them I talked to the landlady, and when they said that they were the heads of the house, I laughed and went on with my day. I spoke to the landlady and they acknowledged that they were out of hand and that she had given them the power to not renew my lease. She said that I could move out whenever and not pay for a single day that I wasn't there. So yesterday, when my roommates both left to visit their family, I immediately called everyone I knew and vacated the house of everything I own. I took the curtains, the rugs, all the cat toys, and even the cat tower that I had made with my mom. I took all of their things off of my shelves and other furniture and stacked them in the middle of a now nearly empty living room. I snapped pictures of everything and handed my keys to the landlady and immediately fucked off. They won't be back to the house until tomorrow, and I've blocked them on everything, but I'm sure their faces will be priceless when they come home to a half-empty house. So much for me not contributing anything. Update. I moved out and took everything. I emailed my attorney asking if the screenshots I took of my landlady's text saying that I could leave with no financial repercussions would protect me if she somehow changed her mind and wanted to charge me rent. He said I was good to go and would be covered by it. A lot of people are asking whether or not my roommate will actually have to pick up my rent. My lease specifically states if one tenant is not able to fulfill their portion of the rent, it will be up to the other tenants to make up the difference. I don't know if she will make an exception for them or not. She did tell me, though, that it will be their responsibility to get someone to lease my room until boyfriend can move in June. The girls came back from visiting their family today, so it is certain that they've seen the empty house now. I haven't gotten any calls from officers about stolen goods, so I'm thinking I'm in the clear. Considering that I haven't actually stolen anything, they would be filing a false report, which is very illegal, according to my attorney. And the big one. My boyfriend was pretty pissed by the whole situation and confronted both of my roommates online about how they've been acting. They immediately went to their dad and he had the cops called. I don't know all of the details, and frankly, I don't want to because I have them blocked. I want nothing to do with them and I just want my life to go on. But yeah, my boyfriend pretty much had to go to the station and sign some papers saying that he'd leave them alone. Anyways, I'm couch surfing until I can get a place. I have 2 places lined up that I'm very interested in, both of which have girls who I know and I can trust. I think things are looking up and hopefully this is the last time I'll have to think about this ever again. If something does happen, I will be updated.
Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my gay son's tuition after he came out to his family? My 40 female, son 19 male, came out to my husband 40 male and I when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ community, and we're both proud of our son for coming out. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. She is wealthy, and my children were told from a young age that their college would be paid for as long as they attended a private Christian or Catholic school. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. I don't agree with this and have argued my children getting the best education possible regardless of the school's religious affiliation should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college once stayed over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years as opposed to 4. He currently just began year 2, which has already been paid for. During Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college and thought he could trust him. He seemed supportive according to my son, but he told his mom and dad, and my husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law and added my son to her. She is livid and called me and informed me that she will not be making any future payments toward his tuition and told me to relay the message to him as she will no longer be speaking to him. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt, or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I do not like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children, 15 and 13, get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me wanting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. My son is obviously devastated. He both will not have his final year of college paid for next year and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and all of the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an asshole for prioritizing a remodel over his education. We've explained to him our kitchen is falling apart and is much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition, so even if we postponed it, we would still be short as his private school is very expensive. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Am I the asshole for not using our family's saving to cover his remaining tuition?
My 20 female girlfriend of 2 years told me the music that I, 25 male, play during is weird and a major turnoff. A little backstory. When I first started having, I researched into ways to be better as I was a little stiff and pretty much had no idea what I was doing. I read online that you can play music and match the rhythm in order to put on a better performance. I searched songs and started slowly creating a playlist in which I was comfortable matching the rhythm. There are a few songs to my playlist. However, there's one song in particular which actually happens to be my favorite that my girlfriend hates and says turns her off in a major way. I don't understand why it has taken her 2 years to tell me she hates that song. It's a good song with good rhythm. I feel the way I fucked up is I could have possibly asked her previously if she likes the playlist or any songs she'd like to add or change. But to leave it for 2 years thinking our life is great, but in her eyes has just been ruined by my music, has left the whole situation feeling awkward, and I'm a bit annoyed. I pretty much played this tune every single time, so the amount of times she must have not been enjoying it when I thought the complete opposite is annoying, but also embarrassing in ways. Not to mention my previous partners. However, they never complained about the song, so maybe it's just her. It's fucked up the relationship, to be honest, because it feels awkward now. The other day we were having with no music, but I was still to the tune playing in my head. She recognized this and asked me to stop. I thought this song was perfect, and I always along with the tune and feel it gives me the perfect rhythm for doing the deed too. I usually to the song and find it devastating she hates the song. Are you ready to hear it?
Am I the arsehole for not listening to my mother-in-law's speech at my wedding? So I just hate speeches. I've never really seen the appeal for them, and I just think they're really boring. So when it was my turn to get married, I requested no speeches at all. We told everybody that we loved them and that we knew that they loved us, so if they wanted to say anything to us, they could say it to us in private. So our whole wedding celebration lasted a weekend, and we only had our loved ones there. My husband is super into games, so our wedding planner planned like a Taskmaster style game, and everybody loved it. So dinner came, and then my mother-in-law stands up. So she starts by saying, I know we've all been banned from doing speeches by the bride, but there's only one day my son's going to get married, so I'll do what I want. I'm not going to lie, I didn't hear the rest because I stopped listening because I started to see red. My sisters and bridesmaids were all in absolute shock. I just pretended like she wasn't talking and carried on the conversation with me and my girls. And I mean, safe to say my mother-in-law was furious. My sister-in-laws were furious, my husband was furious. He was literally that mad that he would not talk to us for the rest of the night. And it was our wedding day. He went as far as to not even look at me for the rest of the night. And for the rest of the night, my husband just sat side-sulking in his seat. I wanted to make sure that my night wasn't ruined and the rest of my family's night wasn't ruined, so I had a blast. And then the next day, I spent the day with my family and friends. Me and my husband spoke the day after that, and he said that it was so wrong what I had done to his mum on our wedding day. He also said that he kind of knew she'd do it because there was nothing we could say, no matter how many times, that would shut her up. Now's probably a good time to add that we know that his mother-in-law just loves making speeches. Like, they can be 15 to 20 minutes long sometimes. My husband just kept saying that I had humiliated his mum. He said I'd been a bad wife for disrespecting his mum in front of all of our families. So what do you think?
Am I wrong for locking my girlfriend inside for her own good? So my 22 male girlfriend, 21 female, has a bit of wanderlust. I'm almost positive she has some form of ADHD because she's incredibly forgetful and at times careless. She'll do things like leave her purse, books, phone, and at times keys in the car. Or she'll boil an egg on the stove and only remembers once the water has completely evaporated and it's burning. She always talks about how she'll get around to getting diagnosed and medicated but never does, and apparently she's been like this her whole life. Anyways, we recently moved in together to a house that belonged to my grandmother, but we both pay utilities, tax, and bills. It's been really great, honestly, except for these little problems. The major issue right now is that at times she will leave through the back door in the middle of the night on walks, and she'll be gone for hours. We've had disagreements about this multiple times in the past where I told her it's dangerous and unsafe. Am I wrong for locking my girlfriend inside for her own good? So my girlfriend will leave the house in the middle of the night on walks and be gone for hours. She will leave around 1 to 2 a.m. to walk around our rural neighborhood for hours at a time. Sometimes even when her phone is on low battery, and I have no idea why she does it. She told me it's exercise and that she enjoys the solitude, but it makes me uncomfortable. I just worry about what could happen in the middle of the night with no one around and she doesn't appreciate me coming with her too much. Worse yet, she'll leave the back door unlocked because she still hasn't gotten her own set of keys. So it's up to me to readmit my wayward girlfriend every few nights. So I've decided to draw my line and refuse to unlock the back door and had it locked from both ends so she's forced to use the front door for her trips. But now she's incredibly frustrated and she's calling me controlling. I don't think I'm wrong when she refuses to behave like a literal sensible adult. Am I?
Would I be the asshole for kicking my mother-in-law out of the delivery room? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My husband, 33 male, and I, 30 female, are expecting our first baby. After weighing all of our options, my husband and I decided on a natural birth at the birthing center. This is something I felt strongly about, and although my husband was at first nervous, he has agreed and has grown to feel more comfortable about the idea as my pregnancy has progressed. My entire pregnancy, my mother-in-law has questioned this decision, and she has never failed to gently warn me of the risk of this decision. I continue to tell her that this is what feels right to me, and I try to educate her on the subject, but she has held strong that she disagrees with my choice. She has always been respectful about it, but I have grown rather irritated over the last 9 months that she will not let it go. I've asked my husband to talk to her about it, and he said he's tried, but because she's doing it out of concern, she doesn't see that the constant conversation over my birth plan is exhausting. I have decided that I want only my husband in the room with me when I give birth. But I also want to have my mom there for some time while I'm laboring and be in the waiting area to meet baby when she is born. I would love to have my mother-in-law do the same. But as my due date gets closer, I am leaning towards not having her. I don't want to be in labor hearing about how my pain could be avoided if I were in a hospital with an epidural, or any other negative comments about my choices during my labor and delivery. My husband feels that if I don't have my mother-in-law there, I should also not have my mom there, and they can both just be in the waiting area, as having my mom be able to come in while I'm laboring and not my mother-in-law would hurt her feelings. I don't think I should have to not have my mom there because my mother-in-law can't get on board with how I'm choosing to have my baby. At this point, I can go into labor any day now, so I have to make a decision. Would I be the asshole if I didn't have my mother-in-law in the room, but I did have my mom?
Am I wrong for not telling strangers that I wash my behind? It sounds clickbait, but it's not. I, 30 female, come from a country where it is customary to wash your bottom after you go number 2. It is a standard practice like in many other countries, and every household has bathrooms with bidets. I currently live in a European country where it is not that common, but you can still find a few houses that do have a bidet. And some people here wash and others wipe, but neither choice is strange to the other group. I happen to live in a house with 2 bathrooms, a small one with a toilet and a sink, and a large one that also has a bathtub and a bidet. When I have guests, I usually point them to the smaller bathroom, but only because it is closer to the area we usually hang out. Last weekend, my wife, 40 female, and I had a bunch of friends over for a barbecue since the weather is nice and we have a terrace. One of my friends brought Kelly, 30, who is from the US and I've never met before. Everything was going well and I thought Kelly was nice. I was grilling sausages and at one point I take one out to give it to someone and drop it on Kelly's feet, who was wearing flip-flops. I apologized profusely and handed Kelly a napkin. She said not to worry, but she preferred to wash, so she leaves while I stay in the terrace cleaning the floor. She comes back a moment later and comments on how cute that our bathroom has a little feet washer. My wife and I were like, what? And then she repeats, and I say, oh, you mean the bidet? Kelly did not know what a bidet was, and when I explained to her, she was shocked and asked if we actually use it to wash after going to the toilet. And I say that my wife doesn't. She's from a country where it is not that common, but I do. And that's when she lost it. She got agitated and furious and asking how come we didn't tell her. To which I said I've never had to explain to anyone what a bidet was before. She said we should have warned her and that we need to warn our guests that I wash my behind there and that is not normal and that I was an asshole. I started naming some of the many countries that do wash as a cultural norm while also stating that here, even if people don't have one, everyone knows what it is. But she completely went nuts when she realized that the little towel hanging next to it is for drying my bottom. Seems like she used it to dry her feet and hands. She left shortly after along with my friend. I don't think I did anything wrong, my wife thinks the same, but my friend said I should have apologized and another friend said she understood Kelly's point. So, am I the asshole? I want to note that the bidet was clean. Just wanted to add that the poop towel, as people are referring to, is the size of a napkin, and it hangs directly next to the bidet about 40 centimeters from the floor, so I don't see how anybody could mistake it for a normal towel. Also, we don't share the towel. Each person has their own. It's just that I am the one who uses the bidet, therefore only one poop towel. Lastly, the towel dries after you clean. There is no poop, just like when you get out of the shower.
Am I wrong for calling my best friend a monster after she made me a home-cooked meal? I, 20 female, was invited to my friend Layla 20's house for dinner last week, and let's just say it's led to some really weird things. For background, I have a lot of medical conditions, including asthma and extreme allergies, and my friend likes to joke about how fragile I am. For example, one time me and my friends went out 2 months ago and I didn't bring a purse, so I had Layla hold my inhaler. At first she said stop joking, I know that's fake, but after pulling it out and using it, she seemed surprised. But she quickly apologized and we moved on. Skip to last week when I was invited to a dinner party at Layla's house and I was so excited. I sent her a list of my allergies and told her if she didn't want to change what she was planning on making, I bring my own food, no problem. But she insisted that her food was fine and I thanked her. Now on the list was mushrooms, but when I got to the dinner party, there was a chicken dish that looked like it had mushrooms in it. Am I wrong for calling my best friend a monster after she made me a home-cooked meal? I made her a list with everything I'm allergic to, and on this list was mushrooms. But when I got to the dinner party, she made a chicken dish that definitely looked like it had mushrooms in it, but I didn't question her. But I definitely should have because she watched me take a first bite and I was right, mushrooms. Of course, I spit it out immediately and went into my bag to find my medication. I was so pissed, and when Layla asked what was wrong, I said I'm allergic to mushrooms, so I can't eat the meal you made. She responded, I thought you were faking. Not even thinking, I called her a monster, grabbed my stuff, and left. And now I'm getting non-stop texts from people at the event telling me I shouldn't have said that after she made me a home-cooked meal. Listen, before I even look at the other commenters, I just want to say she did this deliberately. She definitely wanted to poison you, and you should cut her off and never be friends with her again. Yep, top comment says you gave her a list and she intentionally put one in the food.
Am I wrong for helping my brother run away from his wedding? So I have 2 older brothers, and this is about the middle one. So my parents divorced when we were very young because of my mum's insane jealousy. She very quickly rebounded with a guy that had 2 kids and had shared custody for a little while. But when my dad got remarried, she went crazy. She called his new wife every horrible name under the sun. And she even tried to claim that he was cheating whilst they were still married. I was always so much closer to my dad and my brothers because my mum was just always so mean to me. Long story short, my stepmom actually passed away from a really bad car accident. So my mum decided she was going to take us on a fun trip to celebrate something, and we have literally never seen our mum happier. However, once we realised what was actually going on, we obviously got upset and started crying. My mum got really angry about this and said only worthless people cry over whores. And needless to say, things got nuclear. So my dad ended up applying for full custody and visitation for her. He always left the line of communication open for us, and he even paid for us to go and see her when she moved away. It was still so bad. As soon as we were 18, we were lowering contact with her straight away. So the last time we saw her was actually at my graduation, and she let everyone who would hear know that we were really ungrateful kids. And her new husband would also call us really nasty names too. And safe to say, we've had no contact ever since. So my brother Sam started dating his now ex about 3 years ago. He had heard all the stories but believed that we were just being dramatic. They had many issues due to her opinions, but eventually she did drop the whole "you need to reconcile with your mother" crusade. So during the wedding planning, there was no sign of things going wrong at all. Lo and behold, who was sitting front and centre? My mum, husband, and 2 kids. I obviously immediately panicked and called my brothers. Sam thought that maybe she'd found out the date and just wanted to crash, so he called his ex to warn her of the potential drama. But she said it's fine because she was the one that had invited them. Sam was like, you need to come and get me, whilst our older brother dealt with things at the church. So we went home and we barricaded ourselves in. His ex and all of her family and friends tried to come and make sense with him. Even my mum's husband came and said, we knew you'd always been worthless. So now all the dust settled, most of Sam's friends are on his side. So is most of my dad's side of the family. His ex's parents keep threatening to sue him for all the money that they paid for the wedding, and he said he would rather pay them back than marry someone that had betrayed him. My family fully supports Sam, but the backlash has been huge. So what do you think?
I'd be an asshole for calling my stepson a loser and telling my wife if I had it my way, he'd be out of the house. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I, 50 male, have been married to my wife since the fall of 2019. I have 2 boys with my ex-wife, both successful and in their late 20s and married. One has a kid on the way. My wife has 1 son, Kevin. He's 20 and lives with us. He and my wife moved in with me after we got married. I have the room because I was alone in the house. I have never really seen eye to eye with Kevin. I love sports. My boys excelled at basketball and football in high school and some in college. Kevin is the type that can't be bothered with sports, which is okay, but it means one less thing we can bond over. He's never really seen me as a father figure, and I never really saw him as a son, but I provide for him since he lives with us. Kevin flunked out of college after his first year. He doesn't care. His friend's starting a company after college and promised Kevin a job. Kevin has now been fired and quit from 4 of his jobs. This conversation happened after he was fired again, but I will provide the backstory first. First job, Target. He quit because his boss yelled at him. I asked why. Because Kevin was late. Kevin sarcastically said Target doesn't lose any money for him being 20 minutes late. Second job, Starbucks. They wanted him to work morning shifts. Kevin refuses to wake up before 11 a.m., so he quit. Third job, a local grocery store. He was fired under the suspicion he was stoned, and I believe it. The kid smokes like a chimney. It's not my place to tell him to stop, though. Fourth job, a friend of mine hired him on as a landscaping crew. He was fired because he was a no-call, no-show. I was embarrassed because I knew the guy. Apparently, Kevin had a problem with being on his phone. When the boss, my friend, corrected him, Kevin said he had no right to tell him what to do with his property. After this, I refused to acknowledge Kevin much. Kevin was talking with his mom. His mom is the most amazing woman I've ever met, but she goes soft on Kevin in my opinion. She was doing her usual, "It's okay, sweetie," routine, and my blood boiled. I yelled, "No, it's not okay. He's a fucking loser." I'll admit, I raised my voice. Then I said, "Kevin, you're lucky I love your mother with all my heart, because if it was up to me, you'd be out of this house." My wife snapped at me, and I responded that Kevin is 20 and he needs to start finding a direction in life. He flunked out of college and can't hold a job that 15-year-olds are able to do. I suggest he go spend 2 weeks living with my son and he would whoop his ass into shape. Kevin cried, told me that the worst day of his life was when his mom married me. My wife got very upset with me, which is fair. I flew off the handle. But in my opinion, he has been babied and that's why he acts this way. I think he needed someone to give it to him straight. He even started applying for jobs again after this, so I think my yelling worked. My wife is still angry and wants me to apologize. Update. I did apologize to Kevin for losing my cool, but I reiterated the importance of trying to find something he wants to do. I told him he doesn't need to have his life figured out, but he needs to be working towards something. I'm trying to get my wife on board with either Kevin going to school or finding a job in Korean society.
Am I wrong for reporting a mother and her glitter monster to a flight attendant? I paid extra for an aisle seat in main cabin because of my long legs. It was a packed flight and my roommates were a mother, late 30s-ish, and a young child, maybe 5 or 6. They brought a bunch of arts and crafts to keep the kid busy, things like a glue stick, markers, paper, and craft sticks. It sounds cute, and it was until the glitter came out. The child, or what I like to call her Glitter Godzilla, Gigi, was making a mess, and because she was in the middle seat, the glitter would spill onto my side. If you remember glitter from elementary school, it's so messy if you're trying to attach it to paper, and there's a lot of shake off and most of it doesn't stick. So yeah, the glitter and marks from the glue stick rolling off the gray table was everywhere. My shoes, my backpack, and my jeans. I'm patient and understand kids can be messy, but this felt crazy. So I tried catching the mom's eye, hoping that she'd stepped in, but she just gave me a blank look like, this is how it is. Am I wrong for reporting a mother and her glitter monster to a flight attendant? I'm not confrontational, so when I got up to use the bathroom, I quietly shared the situation with the flight attendant. She promised to be discreet and address it, and when I got back to my seat, the mother was pissed. I don't know what the attendant said, but the mom claimed I was being discriminatory against mothers. And she said she was just trying to keep her child entertained and then started raising her voice, accusing me of being a selfish man with no understanding of children. All this despite the fact that my lower half now looks bedazzled. There were no other available seats, so I had to sit there and hear the lady's verbal attacks, and the flight attendant gave me a look of sympathy. And when we finally landed, the lady gave me a final FU. I do a lot of traveling, and this was the flight from hell. Not to mention, it was pretty embarrassing in the airport. Not that I can blame people taking notice. So, am I wrong? Or should I have just sucked it up and became a human art project?
Am I the arsehole for asking my boyfriend to stop being friends with someone? I know how that sounds, so let me explain. Me and my boyfriend Luca have been going out for about 2 years and everything's been going great. And he has a best friend called Tammy, and I'm not gonna lie, their relationship makes me very uncomfortable. So about 4 years ago, Tammy and Luca actually hooked up. He said it was just a one-time thing and they very quickly realised that they were just better off as friends. This didn't bother me. He was very upfront about it and made it very clear that they were just friends now. He had a life before me and I very much appreciate his honesty. So one day near the beginning of our relationship, Luca looked upset. I asked him what was up and he said that he told Tammy that he was getting serious with someone and she had freaked out. And she said that she thought that at some point they would have got together eventually, even though she had a boyfriend at the time. So at the time, Tammy and Luca weren't anything, they were just having fun with people in between relationships. And this had really upset Luca because he thought they were just friends, so he felt totally blindsided by this information. He then didn't speak to Tammy for 6 months. So 6 months later, Tammy calls and she apologises. Said that she was in a bad place with her then boyfriend and that she missed his friendship. Luca spoke to me about it and I said I was fine with it as long as he was clear that they were just friends. Now I've been with my partner for 2 years and I met Tammy twice. Every time I'd invite her to something that was a group event, she'd always say no and I didn't think too much of it. However, she then started to make appearances when I wasn't there or I was away for work. So she started to call up Luca and ask if he was alone or if I was busy, and if she'd had a bad day she would say she just needed time alone with her friend. I finally snapped when I was away last weekend. So Luca had posted a picture of him and Tammy out for drinks. I had invited her to 6 different events this year, but she said she couldn't commit to anything until June 2023 because her schedule was too busy. I said to Luca, it upsets me that you only hang out when I'm not there because it makes me think something's going on. I don't mind them hanging out by themselves, but every time I'm away, Tammy is suddenly free.
Am I wrong for refusing to give my stepson my engagement ring because he never treated me like family? I, 49 female, have been with my husband Bill, 53 male, for the past 20 years. Bill had 2 children from his previous marriage, Jim, 31, and Paige, 27. We also have one biological child together, Harry, 16 male. Jim and Paige's mom passed away when they were 9 and 5. I met Bill around 2 years after his former wife had died. When I started building a relationship with the kids, I made it clear that I was not going to replace their mom and would be a trusted figure whom they could approach if they ever needed me. That being said, I still made an effort to treat them like I would my own child. I would take them to school, pick them up, take them to doctor's appointments, make their lunches, ask my parents to get them presents for Christmas and birthdays, etc. Both kids were somewhat hostile towards me at first, which I understand because they lost their mom. However, Paige eventually warmed up to me and saw me as a trusted, confident, and maternal figure. She didn't ask me, nor did I expect her to want me to adopt her, but she still calls me mom, which I appreciate. Jim, on the other hand, continued to be mean and hostile. I have never treated him poorly or antagonized him. Nevertheless, he would make misogynistic statements like, "It's your job as a woman to clean the dishes," when I would ask him to clean his plate, or call me a bitch when my back was turned. My husband told him many times that the way he was treating me was uncalled for and for us to go to family therapy, but he always refused. He eventually moved out, reaching adulthood. He continues to make contact with his father and siblings, but it's minimal between him and me. Even then, he doesn't treat me well. Now, I have an engagement ring that is a family heirloom for several generations. It is passed down from the mother to the oldest child. My husband got the ring from my mom to propose to me. I told all 3 children about this heirloom a few years ago. Anyway, Jim currently has a girlfriend whom he intends to propose to. He called me out of the blue one day and asked if he could have the ring. I told him no. When he asked why, I told him it was because of how he has treated me all these years and how he continues to treat me, and I don't want my family heirloom going to someone who sees me as a vermin. When he asked whom it would go to, I told him it would go to Paige when she gets engaged. When he heard this, he lost his shit and accused me of playing favorites. I eventually hung up when he wouldn't stop insulting me and blocked his number. My husband is on my side, but his maternal relatives have all been blowing up my phone, telling me what an asshole I am. So, am I?
Am I wrong for leaving my sister's wedding early because she kept my husband out of the pictures? My 31 male sister and 34 female got married on Saturday. My husband of 7 years, Mark, was there with me, and up until one point, it was an amazing event. After the ceremony, Anne wanted a picture with all 5 of the siblings and their respective partners, so we started lining up. When Anne saw that my husband was standing next to me, she shook her head and said something about him ruining the aesthetic. Apparently, her plan was to put one man and one woman next to each other alternately. My youngest sister, 18 female, who doesn't have a partner and was standing on the very side, offered to stand between the 2 of us. That way we could be close and Anne's wishes would be respected at the same time. I thought that was a great solution, but Anne disagreed and told Mark to get out of the picture. He's quite introverted and tries to avoid confrontation under all circumstances, so he simply complied and told me not to get angry. But it was so obvious that he was hurt and disappointed. Am I wrong for leaving my sister's wedding early because she kept my husband out of the pictures? My husband is very introverted and tries to avoid confrontation under all circumstances. So he simply complied and told me not to get upset, but it was so obvious that he was hurt and disappointed. Obviously, it didn't stop me from getting angry and I walked away with him. I can understand that Anne wants her wedding pictures to look exactly how she imagined, but I think the idea my younger sister proposed was reasonable. I congratulated Anne and her husband one last time, but then I said my goodbyes. And when people asked why I'm leaving early, I just explained that I didn't feel like my presence was wanted. So we left before the dinner and I took my husband to his favorite food place just to cheer him up. Anne has texted me since saying I was being dramatic and making a fuss over nothing. Our parents have tried to remain neutral, but except for my youngest sister, the rest of the family supports Anne and thinks leaving early was going too far. And that I should have sucked it up instead of ruining her big day.
My 37 male, wife 35 female was in a man's hotel room at 1:30 in the morning. My wife of nearly 10 years has a history of straying, but that was prior to marriage and only happened once. There have been other suspicious circumstances, including once when a man that she says was her designated driver stayed overnight at our apartment while I was out of town, but she insists nothing happened. Recently, my wife went to a work conference with several male colleagues. On the first night there, they all went out to bars. That went well past midnight. We share our locations on our phones and I hadn't heard from her, so I checked her location. She was at a hotel that wasn't hers. I FaceTimed her and she didn't pick up. I called again and she picked up with the phone facing towards the ceiling and wall corner, with her from the shoulders up. I heard a male voice for half a second and then complete silence. She was eating a slice of pizza. I asked her what she was doing and she said, eating pizza. I asked her where and she didn't answer. She looked nervous. I asked her to spin the phone around so I could see what was going on. She hung up instead. I called her back and she didn't answer. I called again and she picked up and was walking fast through a hotel hallway. She made it outside and we talked on the way back to her hotel. She was nervously grinning the entire way back. She was very drunk. She was acting sort of angry with me. I'm not sure about what. Angry I called? Angry at the obvious sort of implied situation? I asked her to explain the situation and she says that she left the bar with 2 male coworkers to return to a hotel room where another male coworker had pizza. She says that she didn't realize how the situation looked until I called her and that she then panicked. She says that she didn't pan the phone around because she knew I would be upset. When I pointed out that she immediately told me that she was there with 3 men, so what information was she hiding by not showing me the room? She then said that she didn't pan the phone around because it would have been embarrassing. No, that whole situation is up. That is so wrong. I feel so bad for him, man. I'm trying to figure this out and come to terms with whatever happened. My gut feeling is that maybe she is lying and there was only 1 man there and they were doing more than eating pizza or planning on it. Otherwise, my thought is that it is obviously inappropriate and crosses boundaries she knows that I have. So, at best, it is extremely disrespectful to me and our marriage. I'm trying to figure out if we should get divorced. She insists this is all because she wanted a slice of pizza. Is that realistic? Am I being gaslit? Please help. Honestly, listen to your gut. That is so up on so many levels to do something like that. I didn't realize how bad of a situation it was until you called bullshit. You're mad because you got caught, not because, oh my god, thank you for making me realize how bad this. Get out of here. My girlfriend is TikTok famous and I hate it. So for a bit of context, my girlfriend and I have been together for almost 7 years. She was never super obsessed with social media or anything like that, hardly posted, kept herself to herself and all that. Then she started to get hooked on TikTok. At first, she didn't post and she would just watch it for hours and hours, but eventually ended up making an account and posted quite a lot. She never liked the idea of working with some corporate company making someone else richer. She always wanted to be self-employed and I applauded that. Anyway, one day she posted a video and it was blowing up, and this is truly when she became obsessed. She started to tell me that this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I supported her unconditionally and told her that if the bills are paid, I couldn't give a damn what she did. At the same time of writing this post, her followers are sitting in the millions. I don't know how many people are going to read this, but I don't want to say exactly because I don't want anyone to find out who she actually is. A few problems are starting to arise. She earns good money, I can't fault her for that. She actually earns more than me, and I'm by no means an average earner in the UK. For one, her health is starting to take a hit. She never eats properly, doesn't sleep, and all of that. She is obsessed with numbers. If a TikTok or Instagram post performs badly, then she will be in a foul mood. It truly seems like the only hit of dopamine she can get is from her posts doing well. She's slowly turning into someone I do not know anymore, and it's killing me. I'm lucky if I get half an hour a day where we have a normal conversation that doesn't regard her career. When we have arguments, she also starts to call me working class scum, saying that I work for literal pennies. I just wish that she would be humble and more down to earth. This girl is not the person I fell in love with.
Am I wrong for snapping at the friend I was staying with for wanting to brush his teeth? I, 30 female, was visiting a different city for a weekend and staying at the home of a platonic friend, 42 male. His apartment has 1 bathroom, and every time I got up to use it, he would jump up and say he needs to use it first. At first I thought it was some kind of joke, but when I asked, he said it's because I take too long. And you guys, even when I took showers, it was never longer than 10 minutes long, and if I wasn't showering, it was significantly less than that. Basically, it just wasn't adding up because I would never be in there for too long, and he'd always say, I just need a minute. I let it go on the first day and always let him go first because I didn't want to criticize someone who's hosting me. Even if I didn't understand why, the only time he seemed to need the bathroom was when I was headed towards it. But things came to a head on my second and last day at his place. We were both sitting on the couch talking for an hour at night, and I made a move to the shower to get ready for bed. He jumped up and said he needed to brush his teeth first. Am I wrong for snapping at the friend I was staying with for wanting to brush his teeth? So I made a move for the bathroom, and he automatically shot up and said he needed to brush his teeth first. That way he could go to bed without waiting for me to shower. I was upset because I'm sure that if I hadn't made a move for the bathroom, he would have just stayed on the couch for longer. So I told him it was strange that he only remembered about brushing his teeth when I needed to use the bathroom. He then accused me of being a disrespectful guest and making him justify why he had to brush his teeth. Top comment says, I really hate to be this cynical, but is there any chance he was turning on a hidden camera? A response to this says, this is where my mind went immediately. Once or twice in a visit I could see, but every time I wouldn't think that's a coincidence. And then another response says, I thought that you wanted to brush his teeth, which I thought at first when I read the title too. My opinion is there's definitely something weird going on because it's not even every time that she showers, it's also with bathroom breaks.
Am I wrong for demanding that my girlfriend clear out her escape bank account? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I, 50 male, make a very good income as a software developer. I came from a very poor background, had a rough start to my early adulthood years, so I consider myself a self-made and very prudent with my finances. I work in a managerial position in a large company and make around $200,000 a year. Add that to the good freelance clientele base, and I make enough money to provide for myself, my girlfriend, 45 female, and our daughter, 17 female. However, because I came from so little and worked hard, I am prudent about my finances. I have developed strict financial values in that I believe you can be frugal and generous at the same time. I feel like there was no need to marry. I loved my girlfriend and promised that if we broke up, I would be generous and give her a fair settlement, which I determined at the time of the breakup. So the situation now is that my girlfriend is feeling empty nest anxiety. She is middle-aged too, and a bit of a midlife lack of adjustment as well. Because our daughter is mildly autistic, we felt that it was best that my girlfriend quit her marketing job and become a stay-at-home mom. However, around 3 years ago, my girlfriend became upset because I felt like I had turned out so well, because I really had to fight to be able to eat when I was in college. I made me value my education more. So my policy is that when my daughter goes to college next year, her schooling will be paid for by loans and scholarship that she'll be able to get for herself, and that I'll give her a total of nest egg of $1,000 to use however she wanted for the duration of her 4-year college career. My girlfriend is upset because she says that my daughter will be taking on a lot of debt, but I think you need skin in the game. Around that time, my girlfriend started taking on odd jobs, babysitting and cleaning the homes of neighbors. She'd be putting that money into our accounts, so I thought that was that. However, my girlfriend fell asleep yesterday afternoon and forgot to put away this notepad. I found out she had around $1,900 in what she calls an emergency escape fund and jotted down a reminder to withdraw some and put it in her daughter's tampon box. To say I was furious was an understatement. After all of these years of sharing my money with her and supporting her, I cannot believe she is hiding money from me.
Am I wrong for telling my niece about her dad's nipple piercing? By the way, I'm so sorry for the video quality. If you look at my eye, you'll see it's on fire, so I honestly couldn't see the screen too well. So I, male 46, have a brother 47, and he has a daughter 17. My brother and I had a rough childhood and were pretty wild in our teens and early 20s. We did some stuff that most people wouldn't want their kids to know about, which is super understandable. Well, last night I was over at my brother's and my niece was visibly upset, so I asked what was up. Well, come to find out, my niece ended up getting her nose pierced without telling either my brother or sister-in-law. While her mom wasn't mad, my brother definitely was. Where we live, you can get most piercings without parental consent at 16, and it was just a simple nose piercing, just a little stud, barely noticeable. And mind you, my niece is a very good kid, gets amazing grades, is kind and very respectful. And honestly, this is probably the most bad thing she's ever done. Here's where I might have been wrong. Am I wrong for telling my niece about her dad's nipple piercing? My niece is a very good kid, gets amazing grades, and is kind and respectful, and honestly, it's probably the worst thing she's ever done. Well, like I said, my brother is mad about the nose piercing, saying he doesn't want to see that on her face. And my niece was trying to argue that it's not permanent, so he shouldn't care, and she could always take it out in the future. Basically, it's not a forever thing. Well, I obviously wasn't thinking and said, you don't really have room to talk considering you had your nipples pierced. My niece's mouth dropped to the floor, and she said that makes him a hypocrite. Now my brother is saying I'm the biggest jerk for outing him to his daughter, saying something he didn't want her to know. I honestly wasn't thinking and just said it because that's what literally came to mind. Now my brother isn't talking to me. Am I wrong? Top comment says his reaction seems overblown in my opinion. Overall, I'd say you're not wrong. And a reply says, I'm extremely wary of fathers or father figures who obsessively want to control their daughters.
Am I wrong for kicking out one of my bridesmaids after she showed up in the wrong dress? My wedding was last week and I'm still getting backlash over this, so I wanted to know if I'm in the wrong. So where I live, it's winter at the minute and we've had a fair amount of snow. So my wedding was a winter themed wedding and I had a colour theme of forest green and gold. So my dress was obviously white and I chose my bridesmaids to wear forest green. And then I asked if my maid of honour could wear black. And then we were all wearing gold accessories. I had this friend called Kat that I had asked to be one of my bridesmaids. So we went shopping and I told them all the colour theme I was going for with the bridesmaid dresses. And Kat immediately said that forest green was not a good choice. She said that she doesn't think it's a flattering colour and that I should choose something different and more girly. And I said no, because my wedding is a winter theme. And I thought that that colour was perfect to fit the theme. She suggested pink, blue and even red. So I said no, but thanks for your opinion. She somehow found out that my maid of honour was wearing black and asked if she could wear black as well. And I said no, only my maid of honour was wearing black. Just adding in that I also paid for all the dresses. So let's fast forward to my wedding day. Everyone is getting their hair and makeup done, and Kat shows up 30 minutes late with a bag that looks like it has a dress inside it. So I asked Tino, what's the bag for? She said it was a dress for the reception and she wanted to have it there so if she felt uncomfortable she could change after we'd had pictures. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm not here for the drama. So we're all walking down the stairs. The ceremony's about to start in like 30 minutes. So Kat is the last person to come down and she's wearing a black dress. So at the time, I was preoccupied taking pictures with my parents, but my maid of honour came over and made me aware of the situation. So I did confront Kat and I asked her what was going on. She said that she hated her bridesmaid dress and it made her look gross, so she was just going to wear black. I asked her to please go back and change and she refused and started to walk away from me. I said, I'm going to ask you one more time and if you don't oblige, I'm going to call security and kick you out. She then began yelling at me to F off. So I called security and I told them to get her out. She started to make a massive scene, calling me a bitch. And then she said that I couldn't force her to wear anything and that I'm a horrible and inconsiderate friend. So the wedding went on and it was honestly amazing. Ever since the wedding, Kat has been blowing up my phone saying some really, really nasty things. She asked me for the money back that she spent on her black dress, since it was a waste and she didn't actually get to wear it. I literally had to block her number. But now some of my other bridesmaids have started giving me shit. They said it was a little bit harsh kicking her out and embarrassing her like that. So what do you think?
My daughter told me she's part of an affair, and I don't know what to do. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My 45 female daughter Savannah, female 26, told me yesterday that she's a part of an affair with a married man that happens to be her friend's husband. She told me it's so nonchalant at first. She's in love with this guy. He said he's gonna leave his wife for her. I asked her, doesn't she feel bad for her friend? And she told me that no, her friend, female 28, only cares about their new baby and doesn't have time to be a good wife to him since she hasn't kept up her looks. So it's her fault. I try to press her and try to have her see about how it's absolutely wrong, and she doesn't consider it wrong whatsoever. I love my daughter to absolute pieces, but the path she's on is scaring me. This honestly is not the first time she's done this. She has now done this to a couple of her friends from college, and now she's doing it to another friend. Every time I try to hold her accountable, she would just stop speaking to me and not let me see my granddaughter. I just feel so lost and conflicted as a mom that my daughter feels no remorse for ripping a family apart. She was always boy crazy as a teen, but I never thought it would escalate to this. She's an only child, and I always try to do my best by her. Her father is also a drunk, so we have no idea where he's at. I guess this is just a cry for help from me. I feel absolutely sick just typing this out. Update. I feel horrible, but I couldn't handle keeping any of this any longer. My daughter Savannah, female 26, and her best friend and husband, Elizabeth and Stan. My daughter told me about the affair a couple of months ago, and I was devastated and hurt that my daughter was so capable of doing this to somebody, let alone her best friend, given Elizabeth just had a baby. I thought I got through to Savannah, and she told me that she would stop seeing Stan, and will eventually tell Elizabeth the truth. I stupidly believed her because she stopped talking about Stan, and she told me she was seeing someone else. Well, yesterday afternoon, Savannah came over to drop off my granddaughter because she was going on vacation. I don't know who she was going with, but when she dropped off my granddaughter, I peeked outside my front door as she waved by, and I noticed she was in Elizabeth's car. And I thought it was odd given I thought she told Elizabeth everything, and I looked really closely and I saw Stan with my stomach dropped. I just went inside and closed the door with my granddaughter in shock, and I was extremely devastated that my daughter simply didn't care about what she was doing. Yesterday night I couldn't sleep. I went on Facebook and was on Elizabeth's page, and the more I looked, the worse I started to feel. Just the day before, Elizabeth made a very heartfelt birthday post to Stan, and I looked in the comments. There's my daughter Savannah commenting, "OMG, I love you guys so much." That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I debated to message her, but I felt like it would be cowardly on my end, so I would just do it face to face. Elizabeth is a yoga instructor, So I went to her class this morning. I waited until after everybody left to talk, and I just told her everything. She initially didn't want to believe me until I showed texts from my daughter, and then we compared Find Our Friends on my iPhone. And, wouldn't you know it, they were in the same exact spot. She of course broke down and was shaking immensely. I tried my best to comfort her, and we talked for well over 3 hours. She told me everything makes so much sense and that she wasn't going crazy. I just felt extremely terrible for her the whole time. By the end of the conversation, she told me not to tell anyone we had this conversation, and I'm honestly still confused by that, because she didn't vocalize that she was leaving him or staying with him. So who knows, she might go mask off and expose everything, or quietly file for divorce. So now I'm at home hoping and praying I did the right thing. My biggest fear is that my daughter will find out I ratted on her and not let me see my granddaughter anymore. But I can no longer allow my daughter to go through life without being checked for her actions, because this isn't the first time that she's done this.
Hi, welcome back. Am I wrong for interrupting my son's date so that he could pick up his little sister? I am a single father, 43 male to 2 children, Max 17 male and Liza 8 female. I usually have Liza in after school club so that I'm able to pick her up after work. However, last evening I was given some work that had me working overtime. I did try my best to negotiate out of it, but my manager told me that the assignment was to be completed by that night, so I just did it. It was nearing towards 6 p.m. and I just knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Liza, so I called Max and asked him to pick her up. He responded by saying he couldn't because he was on a date with his girlfriend for their 6-month anniversary. I told him that I understood, but that I really needed him to get Liza and that I'd make it up to him for interrupting. He just angrily turned off the phone, and I thought that while he was mad at me, he just decided to pick her up. 30 minutes later, I received a call from the school on where I was because the school was close to closing down and no one was there. Luckily, one of Liza's friend's mothers said they dropped her off and that was all good. However, I don't really like it when Liza goes with that particular friend. Not because of the friend, but because of the mother. She has this habit of asking math questions in the car that she knows Liza is unable to answer and then criticizes her over it. It's all just very mean. I called Max and asked him where he was and that he was in big trouble when he got home. He just told me that he was busy and to leave him the hell alone. He came home around 9 p.m. I told him he was grounded and that he was not allowed to use the car for a good 3 weeks. At that, he got all mad and said that it wasn't his fault that I was failing as a parent and unable to afford someone to collect Liza. This is the 3rd time I've ever asked Max to pick up his sister in the span of a year and a half. Some people are asking why I don't have a nanny. Money is tight. Max and Liza's mother is not present in their lives, and no, I did not think of socializing myself with the parents at Liza's school. I am at work most times, so I haven't found time outside of the yearly parent meetings. Just want some insight on the situation. Was I being too harsh, and am I the asshole for interrupting his date? Slow it down, make it bouncy.
Am I wrong for not giving the mother of my dead husband's child his possessions? Me, 30 female, and my husband got married when we were 25 after 6 years. He passed away in an accident in April. A few weeks before the accident, I found out he had a one-night stand with a woman he works with. When he died, I hadn't decided what was going to happen in our relationship, and we entered counseling and were living together still, but it was obviously hectic. As I wasn't sure if we divorced, I decided not to tell our families and only confided in a few close friends and my therapist. I just didn't want opinions from everyone, and I also didn't tell his family when he died because there was no reason to. Well, a few weeks ago, the affair partner reached out to me, and she's 5 months pregnant and preparing to raise the baby. She wanted me to tell his family because she wants her child to have a relationship with his family and be connected to his culture. I said I wouldn't do it and simply passed along their contact information, and shit hit the fan. Am I wrong for not giving the mother of my dead husband's child his possessions? I'm close with his brothers, and I thought they were going to raise him from the dead and kill him again. They're coming around to the idea of having a relationship with the baby, but I don't want to. Well, now the mother is asking me for some of my husband's possessions. She wants his clothes, his books, his record collection, and bizarrely, his wedding ring, for the baby to feel connected to her father. I've made it very clear that I will not be giving her anything of the sort. His parents and brother have some of his stuff, and she can access things like that through them, but she kept pushing and I lost my temper and called her an outrageous B-word. I wouldn't be opposed to passing some of this stuff along to the child via my in-laws when they're older and can appreciate it. Not the wedding ring though. I've also retained a lawyer just to look into whether I owe the child any money legally from my husband's passing. If I don't, I may set up a trust fund for them when they're older because it just seems fair with his money. I just don't want to give this woman all I have left of my husband, and I don't trust her.
Am I wrong for wearing a wedding dress to a wedding? So this girl I've been friends with for a few years recently got engaged. A week ago, I got a DM from her saying she was having a small costume party to celebrate her getting engaged. So I asked if there was a theme and she said there wasn't. So I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. So I thought it'd be really funny to go to an engagement party as a corpse bride. When I arrived at the house yesterday, everything seemed completely normal. A few people complimented my costume and I was having so much fun. After about 10 minutes, my friend's fiance walked out in a black tuxedo and told everyone that this was actually their wedding. Apparently my friend saw a video of someone else doing this and she wanted to do the same. He asked us all then to go to the backyard so that the ceremony could begin. At that point, I went straight up to him. I asked if I should quickly go home, change my outfit and come back before the ceremony even started. He told me it was absolutely fine considering that I didn't know it was a wedding. So I trusted him and I just followed everybody outside. They got married and everything seemed good. So the reception was at the house, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where we left off. I kept trying to talk to my friend and celebrate with her, but she kept making excuses not to talk to me. I assumed it was because she was just tired and, you know, it was such a big day. And I thought maybe she just wanted some space and alone time. I decided just not to bother her after that and the party soon ended. So about half an hour after I got home, my phone started blowing up with notifications. It was my friend and she was cussing me out saying that I ruined her wedding day. I was obviously really confused and asked, you know, what did I do? And that only made her even more angry. She told me that it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to someone else's wedding day. I reminded her that I did not know that it was a wedding. And I said, I asked your now husband if he wanted me to go home and change, and he said that it was absolutely fine. So she didn't respond to that, but then I got a text from the husband asking why I would tell her that he said it was absolutely fine not to change. And I was like, babe, you were the one that told me it was fine. And then he says that I should have changed anyway. And now, of course, it's my fault that the two of them are fighting over this. I tried texting and saying that I was sorry and that if I'd have known, I obviously wouldn't have done this. But I woke up today to find that her and her husband had blocked me on everything. So what do you think?
Am I wrong for telling my stepsister she can't wear my mom's wedding dress? I, 16 female, grew up without a father for a long time and it was just me and my mom. Last year, my mom got married to my stepdad, Brad. Brad has 2 kids, Tessa, 26, and Jake, 18. My dad passed away shortly after I was born, leaving my mom in mountains of debt. The one thing she refused to sell was her wedding dress. She always talked about how it was her dream for me to get married wearing her dress, or at least her veil. It's a gorgeous, simple white dress with a long lace veil. My dad had the dress handmade and designed for my mom before their wedding. When my mom remarried, she still refused to sell the dress and got a new dress for her wedding to Brad. She always talked about that dress being mine. Tessa got engaged last week and she was so excited to show off her ring and talk about her wedding plans. Tessa knows how much that dress means to me. So while talking about her wedding with my mom and Brad, she threw out the idea that she could wear the dress that my mom has been saving for me at her wedding because it'll save us so much money. My mom brought up the fact that she wasn't comfortable with that since she was saving that dress for me, but Brad said my mom should agree since she now has 2 wedding dresses and I can wear the other one. Tessa also pointed out that the dress would need so many alterations to even fit me since I'm much shorter than my mom and I'm not as thin as my mom. Tessa also said it would be years before I need it, so it wasn't going to be an issue. My mom was on the fence about it, but Brad was all for it and pulled the dress out of storage and handed it to Tessa. I freaked out and grabbed the dress out of her hands. I told her she wasn't allowed to wear my mom's dress and that she can get her own mom's dress or buy her own, but she wasn't allowed to wear the dress my mom is saving for me. I locked myself and the dress in my room. All day my mom has been texting me and coming to the door asking me to come out and talk to her and Brad. Brad has been calling me spoiled and selfish, saying that I'm acting like a huge brat. I can't just let some stranger wear the only thing of my dad I have left. I feel bad. Tessa is really upset and she's been crying and texting me asking me to apologize and give her the dress back. I can't tell if I'm in the wrong. Brad and Tessa think I'm being an ass, but my stepbrother and friends agree that I should stand my ground. Literally, the only reason why she wants it is because it'll be free. You have sentimental value to it. And the fact that your stepdad just grabbed it out of storage, like, whoa, relax.
My future mother-in-law ruined my wedding dress. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. To make things easier, I'll call my future mother-in-law Karen, and my fiance will be Lee. Lee and I have been together for 5 years and engaged for about 8 months. I met him my senior year of college, his first year of grad school. I met his family a year into dating and they seemed pretty great. Karen was always very friendly to me and I never had any issues with her. Lee and I even lived with her and his dad during the entire summer 2 years ago, after our adjustment lease was up and we were waiting for our house to be finished being built. There were never any arguments. We had our privacy and we regularly enjoyed doing family outings together. Lee and I decided to hold our wedding near the town where we met. I have a friend from college who is from there, and her family has a large estate with an old farmhouse that is the perfect location for our wedding. We have been planning for well over a year, and today was supposed to be the best day of our lives, but Karen has ruined it. On Thursday, Karen, Lee's dad, and Lee's siblings, their spouses, arrived in town. We had booked a block of rooms at the nicest hotel in town, and we were under the impression that everyone had made reservation. Turns out Karen and Lee's dad expected to stay on the estate. I don't see how this happened, since when we reserved the estate and secured the block of rooms, I provided hotel information to everyone. Karen, Lee's dad, siblings, and spouses at the family dinner. Karen asked if she and Lee's dad would be staying at the estate, and I told her that the estate only had one house and that would be used for getting ready and staying at Thursday through Sunday. Anyway, when we got there Thursday and didn't have a room, we scrambled and decided to give them the house. Thursday night, while Lee and I ended up crashing with my friends whose family owns the estate. No big deal, except Karen refused to get a hotel room yesterday morning because the hotel where we blocked the rooms is sold out. Lee gently told his mom and dad that they could not stay in the house again because last night my wedding party stayed here and we were going to get ready this morning, and we didn't need to worry about Karen and his dad. But he didn't tell her this. So Karen started crying, and I told her that I would find another place for them to stay, where there would be other guests. We found another room for them at the second nicest hotel in town. Got them a bigger, corner room, and even covered the cost for last night and tonight. Last night, my 4 best friends arrived, and after the rehearsal dinner, we piled onto the couches, watched movies, ate popcorn, and enjoyed a few cocktails at the estate house. At 8:30 this morning, I was awoken by my mother, who had tears in her eyes. I thought something had happened to my grandfather since he was recently diagnosed with cancer. Instead, she told me that somehow my wedding dress had been destroyed and there was no way to salvage it. My dress was literally cut into strips. My veil had been ripped to shreds. There was nothing salvageable. I put the dress in the master bedroom closet when Lee and I arrived on Wednesday evening. I showed it to Lee's sister, sister-in-law, and Karen when they arrived on Thursday night. I hadn't looked at it again since. The only people who had access were Karen, Lee's dad, Lee, my bridesmaids, and my mother. My bridesmaids never went into my room last night, and my mother would have no reason to do such a thing, so it had to be Karen or her husband. I called Lee crying, and all I could manage to say was, "Your mother ruined my dress," before handing the phone off to my mother to explain. Lee was furious. He called Karen, and she hung up on him when he asked her if she cut up my dress. Then he called his sister, and she told Lee that he was being ridiculous, saying that Karen would never do such a thing. But when he asked her who else could have done it, his sister was at a loss for suspects. My mother, grandmother, and 2 of my bridesmaids have gone into town to try and find a dress. I keep trying to stay positive, but my beautiful dress, the one I imagined marrying the love of my life in, is gone. And Karen, oh my God, Karen, I don't want to look at her ever again, much less have her be a part of my wedding.
Am I wrong for not giving my girlfriend 25 female my dinner after I already bought her dinner? My girlfriend and I live in New York City, and there's a popular app where you buy leftover restaurant food. Basically, restaurants advertise surprise bags at a reduced price in order to reduce food waste. So yes, the customer doesn't know what they're getting until they pick it up, but the cost is 3 times lower. These are hit or miss, and sometimes you get exactly what you want for a really great reduced price, but sometimes you get something you otherwise wouldn't have picked. So yesterday, I ordered a big surprise bag from a barbecue place I was picking up on the way home. I texted my girlfriend asking if she wanted one, but she said no, she wasn't in the mood for barbecue. However, there was an Indian restaurant right next door that had surprise bags available on the app, so she ordered one of them. The barbecue was $12 and the Indian food was $10. When I got home to unpack the meals to see what I got, I was psyched about my bag. But I can't say the same about my girlfriend. Am I wrong for not giving my girlfriend 25 female my dinner after I already bought hers? I was psyched about my bag, and since I paid $12, I knew the value had to be at least $36, but honestly, the platter looked a lot more expensive. There were burnt ends, ribs, pulled pork, baked beans, potato salad, bread, onions, and pickles. Delicious. But my girlfriend was not so lucky. Her bag only had 6 different types of soup, half of which were cauliflower. Very disappointed, my girlfriend asked me if I'd share my food, and I told her no. I told her I'm hungry and that I offered to get her some, but she told me no, so I'm gonna devour it. She got mad at me and called me a jerk, and I said if she didn't want soup, she should have ordered something specifically. I told her to order something off a food delivery app, but she said she didn't want to spend the money, and for some context, I do make a lot more than she does. And I even offered to walk to the bodega on our street and buy her something, but she told me she just wants this hot meal.
I pretended to have a vasectomy. 2 years later, my wife is pregnant. I am going through a horrible dilemma and I'm so deep in, I have no idea what to do. My wife and I have been married for 9 years and we have 2 kids together and we aren't planning on having any more. Well, my wife is set on that idea, but I wanted to have at least 5 kids and she only wanted to have 1 or none. This doesn't take away from the fact that she is a great mother, it's just her preference. Going into the marriage, we sort of compromised to have maybe 2 or 3 kids. I'm set on having 3, but she didn't want any more. It's been 5 years since having the first 2, and around 2 years ago, she was hell-bent on me getting a vasectomy. I wasn't comfortable with it and refused, but it became the center of our arguments. We dated for 5 years before getting married, so we have been together for a total of 12 years when this occurred. Now we have been together for 14 years. These were such lovely times, and I didn't want to end our relationship on this, especially since we have kids together. So I agreed to the vasectomy after months of arguing. Fast forward to now, my wife is pregnant. She doesn't know how this could have happened, but I do. I never got the vasectomy. 2 years ago, I pretended that I got it and I told her someone else took me to the appointment. I took off a week of work so I could recover from it. I tried to be cautious while sleeping with my wife, but it obviously didn't work. Now my wife is furious as I told her that the vasectomy could have failed rather than telling her the truth. She's also scheduling appointments with lawyers so she can sue the practice in which I received the surgery. However, if they have the records, it will prove that I never got it. Now my wife is also thinking about having an abortion, but I'm trying to convince her to drop this whole thing, and if anything, this child is a miracle. What should I do now? I'm worried if I tell her the truth that she will leave me. I don't want to lose her. She's the love of my life. I know that this is my fault, but please help me on how I should go about this.
Am I wrong for allowing my boyfriend to think that my family are rich and him making bad financial decisions because of it? Story time. So I've been dating my boyfriend, who we'll call Steve, for about 1.5 years. We met when I was out with a group of friends a year ago, and the conversation came up of where we all grew up. Now in this conversation, I mentioned where I was from, which just happens to be a very, very wealthy area. And then he asked if my parents still lived there, and I was like, yeah, they do. They've never left. But what I didn't mention is that they rent the house, and they always have. Now, my parents moved into this area way before it became like a big fancy area. Since then, Steve has just been making all of these tiny little assumptions, joking about how I'm secretly loaded, or that I would probably inherit the house one day. Just decided I'm gonna try and recreate Tate McRae's Met Gala makeup. So at first I laughed it off because I just felt so awkward like correcting him on it, and like especially so early on in the relationship as well. I was trying to not cause drama, but over time these assumptions just got bigger and bigger. He is chatting about how we're not gonna have to worry about money because I'm obviously gonna inherit loads eventually, and I tried to downplay it a few times by saying my family is not flashy with money, but I never outright said the truth. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this can't get any worse, things can. My boyfriend has always hated his job. You see where this is going? And last month he told me he was thinking about leaving his job. And I said to him, listen, you need to have something else lined up before you move on. That has worked so well, go me. But he said something that made my stomach drop. Steve says to me, honestly, I'm not actually worried about money long term. Once your family house sells, we are gonna be just fine. Brother, what? I was like, He said, honestly, don't worry, that area is worth absolute millions. And I realised in that moment, he genuinely believes I'm sitting on a massive stack of money. It's literally giving that he sees me as the picture of wealth. And then 2 weeks ago, this man, you guessed it, quits his job. And now I feel like all of this has gone on way too long. And I'm massively feeling like this is all my fault because I never corrected the assumption. And now he has made this huge life decision based on it.
Am I the asshole for pushing back when my parents want to financially support my dead brother's ex and her baby without proof? My brother died at 23, 5 months ago. I'm 19 and I have no other siblings. I'm in college but living at home right now because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. My mom is just a mess since it happened. Our family is barely functioning right now. I can understand that. Around Christmas, his ex-girlfriend reached out and said she was pregnant and that the baby is his. She's very pregnant, like due on March 2nd. They were broken up when he died. She had moved out. My brother told me he was done and trying to move on. As far as I know, they hadn't seen each other in weeks. He never mentioned a pregnancy, a scare, or that they were still involved. She waited until months after he was gone and then contacted us saying she wants to keep his memory alive. My parents immediately went all in. They offered to move her into our house, pay all pregnancy and baby expenses, buy her a car, and support her long term. No questions asked. That's a tough one. I told them that grief doesn't replace basic due diligence, especially when they're about to make irreversible financial and emotional commitments. I'm a guy, and it's not like I know much about pregnancy, but I researched prenatal paternity testing and found out it can be done safely through a blood test before birth. Now I'm being treated like I'm heartless by everyone involved. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, it's good to know for sure. But it's also a very delicate situation. She says I'm accusing her of lying and stressing her during pregnancy. My parents say I'm being cruel and that they'd rather be wrong than turn away a possible grandchild, and that this is what my brother would have wanted. I said we don't really know what he would have wanted. What's the big deal about asking for a paternity test? If it's his baby, like she claims, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? That comment blew things up. I've been told I'm heartless and trying to punish a pregnant woman. She keeps making remarks that I'm jealous and that I should stay out of it. It just seems so weird that she talks to me that way when she never treated me like that before when he was alive and they were together. Jealous of what? A baby? I'm almost 20 years old. The whole way she showed up and told us the news just was so strange. I can't explain it, but no one can explain why asking for proof is unreasonable. My mom has basically barely functioned since he died. She lost her job. I'm worried that if there is any chance this isn't real, it'll destroy whatever she has left inside. Am I the asshole for calling this reckless and insisting on a paternity test before my parents financially and emotionally commit? No, you're not the asshole. I would be skeptical too. But yeah, they need proof. Nothing against the young lady, but proof is definitely needed.
Am I the asshole for not telling my partner something his 14-year-old daughter told me in confidence? My partner, 40 male, and myself, 39 female, have been together for almost 5 years. We've been living together with his daughters, Laura, 14 female, and Allie, 11 female, and my daughter, 6 female, for about 2 years now. As a stepmother of the 2 girls, things haven't always been easy, but we're still learning every day and we're working together. My partner knows that I give the girls their space, but rules do apply in our household, which sometimes can cause friction, mainly between the eldest and myself. Laura has, like so many girls her age, started to show an interest in boys. She's communicated to us that she likes a certain boy, Rob, 14 male. She's pretty smitten and she loves to tell us about him. That's so cute. My partner, however, isn't a fan of this young boy. My partner knows Rob's dad, and his experiences with him weren't so nice. Because of this, he stated that Rob probably isn't a great match for her, and she shouldn't be wasting her time with him. She's 14, and this is clearly puppy love. Laura was pretty upset with her dad's statement, but she kind of let it go. I completely see why she came to you and asked you not to tell her dad anything. I can 100% see why. Bro, you had a good opportunity to sit down and talk to your daughter and teach her the red flags to look out for and the behavior to be cautious over, but instead, you told her that a 14-year-old boy that you don't know probably isn't a good match for her, and she will be wasting her time with him. I'm not surprised that she doesn't want to talk to you. Now to the real issue. Up until last weekend, Laura has never really confided in me about specific things that are important to her. She sometimes has, but they would have also been things that she shared with her dad as well. Last weekend, however, Laura and myself went to an event together, just the 2 of us. While we were there, she opened up to me about Rob and how they're kind of a little thing. You could tell that she was very nervous, but also very excited about this. I love this. She's starting to trust you. Laura, however, asked me specifically to not tell her dad yet. She said she wanted to wait and see if she still liked Rob in a few weeks, and she would tell dad herself after those weeks were over. She stated that because of his reaction last time, she didn't feel comfortable telling him just yet, which I totally understand. I do too. She told her dad that she liked a boy. His response was, he's probably a bad egg, don't waste your time with him. Could you imagine how the fuck he would react if she told him that that same bad egg was the boy that she was actually dating, that was her boyfriend now? I understand why she's a little hesitant to share with her dad. He fucked that up. I told her that I wouldn't tell her dad because Laura wasn't in any danger. Nothing would change and it wasn't life-altering. I did, however, tell her that she should tell him eventually, after a few weeks. She said that she would. Yesterday, Allie let it slip by accident that Laura had a boyfriend. My partner was shocked and asked if this was the truth. He's now upset with me because I didn't tell him about this. This is his fault. This is his fault. Sir, you reacted the wrong way when your daughter told you she liked a boy. Instead of listening, you just decided to give your opinion about a 14-year-old boy that you don't fucking know. Remember, he said he's probably a bad match, meaning he don't know a goddamn fucking thing about this kid. Sir, this is your fault. When you show your daughters that they can't talk to you, they don't talk to you. I really didn't want to damage Laura's trust, especially since this was the first time that she really opened up to me. My partner also doesn't understand that the reason Laura didn't want to say anything to him was because of his earlier statements. Now he isn't speaking to me, nor is he speaking to Laura because of all of this. Oh, that's healthy. That's real fucking healthy. Now, I don't want to make this about me, but I'm also a little upset with my partner because of his reaction. He knows how hard I try to be a good stepmom and connect with the girls. For the first time, I finally feel like Laura let me in and he gets mad about it. So am I the asshole? No, baby, I don't think you're the asshole at all. I think you handled everything perfectly. You showed Laura that she can trust you, that she can come to you if there's something that's bothering her or just something she wanted to get off of her chest. Like you said, she wasn't doing anything dangerous. She wasn't talking to some 16, 17-year-old boy. This wasn't a fucking random on the internet. This is just a classmate. Another 14-year-old. And that's fucking normal. If your partner was really that interested in his daughter's dating life, he'd fucking act like it. He would give her a safe space to come and talk to him and ask questions and just share with him the things that she wants to share with her father. But instead, he lets his personal feelings about a 14-year-old boy he don't know, mind you, get in the way of that. Then he gets upset when there are consequences because of his actions. Look at how you reacted when she told you she liked the boy. Did you really think she was going to come to you and tell you that she was now dating that boy? Get the fuck out of here, sir. The call is coming from inside the house. You know that you're fucking wrong. Stop blaming your partner and your daughter for it. Y'all know I work with kids for a long time. And one of the things that I learned was that these kids hide things or don't tell us things because they're afraid of the way we're going to react to the information being put in front of us. That as parents and teachers and anyone that interacts with kids on a day-to-day basis, sometimes we listen more to respond and react than we do to understand. And depending on how we react, they shut down. And they no longer want to talk to us. And they no longer want to share these things with us. And then that leaves them out making decisions that they should only be making with proper guidance or just not including us in important parts of their lives. Personally, I think that's exactly what's going on with OP's partner. He listened to react, to give a response, not to understand that his daughter don't give a fuck about his experience with this boy's father. All she knows that this is a cute boy and he likes me. That's all that she knows. Instead of this man holding himself accountable, he's lashing out at everybody because it can't possibly be his fault why nobody wants to clue him in on what the fuck is going on. As he gives his partner and his daughter the silent treatment. OP did exactly what the fuck she was supposed to do. This is all the consequences of this man's actions.
Today I messed up by sending my wife to check if the Powerball ticket was a winner. So this happened a few days ago. I have a long-standing habit of buying lottery tickets for the Powerball or Mega Ball, etc. whenever it gets over 300 million. It's overall a very small amount per year and it's just a small investment in fun times from my point of view. Recently, the prize was slowly creeping up due to no winners multiple weeks in a row. The prize gets rolled over if there is no winner. It was over $1 billion last week and I bought a ticket like usual, but I got too busy to take it in to check the numbers. Here's where I screwed up. I decided to give the ticket to my wife to check. Now, she's a sweet lady who has never gambled or anything, so she's not familiar with the process. I sent her to a local supermarket with the machine, explained how to scan the card and sent her on her merry way. A little while later, I get a strange text basically saying, "You better be sitting down." And then the text saying something to the effect of, "I'm never coming back to this store again." Later, I got the full story. She scanned the ticket correctly, and this machine announced that she was a winner. A full screen graphic in giant words, the works. She freaked out at the prospect of becoming billionaires. She does not know how much is shaved off for taxes, but that's a different story. Attracting attention in the store. After hyperventilating for a minute or two, she saw that the machine stated to proceed to the checkout counter, and she walks over and found out that she won a whole $2. She's not aware that if you get one number or sum in the right place, you can win your money back. Anyway, after landing back on Earth abruptly, she left the store mortified at her reaction of winning $2 and now wanting to find somewhere else to shop. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister and her kids move into the house that I bought? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I'm a 32-year-old woman and I just bought my first house. It has 3 bedrooms, a yard, and just what I need right now. I'm single and have 2 dogs. My sister is 34, has 3 children, and lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. Lately, she's been talking about how such a tiny living space is not enough for the 4 of them. When she got to know about the house I had bought, she became very upset and told me that I was being wasteful, as I'm single and don't have kids, and therefore don't need that big of a space. I reminded her that what I do with my hard-earned money is none of her business. She went on to complain to our mother about how selfish I was being. Yesterday evening, I got a call from my mom, telling me that I should let my sister and her kids move into the house. My house. I told her that no one was going to live in the house that I paid for but me, and that the extra space would be great for my dogs to play in. My mom got very upset with me and told me that I was being unreasonable, that my sister's kids are growing and need space more than my dogs. I offered to help my sister out financially so she could rent a bigger place. My mom got my sister on the phone, who shot down the idea, telling me that I needed to let her and her kids live in my house. When I refused again, she generously suggested a compromise. I could live in the house with her and her kids, and I would not have to find somewhere else to live. She said this as if she was doing me a favor. I told her she had lost her mind and hung up. I know my sister is struggling financially, but this kind of entitlement is absolutely ridiculous. Update. I decided to send my sister and my mom the link to this post, letting them know that I had made it. As expected, they freaked out. My mom has been texting me telling me what a horrible daughter I am and how I've embarrassed her in front of so many people. I told her to calm down as these are all strangers on the internet who have no idea who she is. But asking my mom to listen to reason is like asking my cats to stop shoving things off of horizontal surfaces. So I told her I'd talk to her when she's willing to act like an adult. My sister has been crying about this to my mom and any other relative who will listen. Most of them won't, as they have been on my side from the start and had agreed that my sister's demands are ridiculous. Once again, I think this whole thing is hilarious. I never really thought I was the asshole. I just wanted to show my mom and sister what a group of unbiased observers would think of their behavior.
Am I wrong for leaving all of my groceries at the register when the cashier refused to sell me alcohol? Abundance and Bounty are two supermarket chains, both with stores 20 minutes away from me and 15 minutes apart from each other. I, 33 male, usually go to Abundance unless I want something I can only get at Bounty, and I haven't been asked for ID when buying alcohol in over 8 years at either store, or anywhere else for that matter. I went to Abundance yesterday to buy my weekly groceries and picked up a 6-pack of beer to enjoy on the weekend. I set the beers down in front of my other groceries on the conveyor belt, then moved to the other side to start packing. The cashier saw the beer and asked me for ID. I told him I didn't have any ID on me, and he told me he couldn't sell me the beer and place it on the side. I politely said, okay, no problem, have a nice day, and then walked away, leaving all of my groceries on the conveyor belt. I didn't take anything. As I walked away, he shouted, excuse me, sir, but I saw no reason to waste time on continuing a discussion because he already made his decision, and I understand how strict they need to be when it comes to alcohol and ID. My mother worked in a liquor store for several years. To be very clear, I did not do this to get back at him, but rather because it meant I needed to go to Bounty to get the beer, and it didn't make sense to drag all of my heavy grocery items from Abundance to Bounty when I could just get the same groceries from Bounty, including the beer. I also figured carrying bags of groceries from Abundance around Bounty wasn't wise because it might raise suspicion of shoplifting. So I went from Abundance to Bounty, bought everything I needed from Bounty, including the beer, then went home. When I got back, my girlfriend asked why it took so long, and after explaining it, she said I was an asshole for making things difficult for the staff at Abundance, because they would need to restock all of my stuff and possibly throw things away. I don't know if the last part is true, but she knows someone who works in a similar store and explained that they're pretty strict on how long certain products are allowed to be outside the freezer and refrigerators. She also said it was extremely rude that I just walked away when the cashier was trying to talk to me. I asked what she would have done, but she didn't have an answer besides just coming home without the beer, but I don't see that as a solution. So, am I the asshole? You are 1000% trying to be rude and petty. Don't even try. Or else you would have looked back and be like, yeah, if the guy's calling your name, why would you not look back? What if he's like, oh, I'll give you the beer then? Well, you don't know. You wouldn't be an asshole. Piece of shit.
Am I wrong for deciding that I won't let my boyfriend be a stay-at-home dad after I said that he could be? My boyfriend, 26 male, and I, 27 female, have been together for 5 years. I make around $140,000 a year working as a QA manager, and he makes $40,000 to $50,000 as a forklift driver. He's never really been into working, so we've talked about him being a stay-at-home dad. Initially, I did agree because childcare is honestly really expensive, and we do want 2 kids, at least. But 7 months ago, he lost his job when there was a push for unionization and some people were bullied out. He was without a job, and I agreed to cover living expenses fully if he does housework and cooks. In these 7 months, I come home to empty beer bottles, trash on the coffee table, and an empty fridge. He never goes grocery shopping, and when he does, it's literally mostly junk food. Mind you, when we originally agreed, he said he would cook, and he's maybe made me 4 meals. 4 meals. So I still do most of the cooking and cleaning, and I can't imagine him as a stay-at-home dad. Am I wrong for deciding that I won't let my boyfriend be a stay-at-home dad after I said he could be? He just got a job, but that's finally in response to me putting my foot down that I'm no longer supporting him. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and had 4 kids and kept a spotless house and cooked every meal from scratch. We've been fighting about this a lot recently, and I said if we do have kids, he has to work because he's not contributing at all. And if he's not doing it now, I can't imagine that he'll do anything as a stay-at-home dad. He yelled that he has to apply for jobs and he's under a lot of stress, but what's the stress? He has everything taken care of and he barely applies to 1 to 2 jobs a day. He basically did nothing that we agreed upon, and now I just don't know how to move forward in this relationship. Update says, thanks for all the comments. I've decided to end the relationship and will tell him this afternoon. This made me realize how resentful and unhappy I am with him and that it's unlikely to change. Many people are also saying he may have depression, and though he's never mentioned that, it could be the reason.
Am I wrong for pre-gaming my wife's dinners? My wife and I are both 32. Since we got married and moved in together 5 months ago, my wife has simply not made nearly enough food for me. This is not the kind of situation where I'm constantly agitated at her for incompetence or anything like that. I would be more than happy to microwave a burrito. I would be more than happy to whip up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But I can't. My wife has, every single night of our marriage, done the same thing. She'll make me a tiny dinner. I'm talking like a Chinese chicken salad with 30 grams of chicken and 10 leaves of lettuce arranged fashionably with dressing. When I finish eating, I'm still hungry because for a 230-pound man who works a physical labor job, it's not enough food. At first, I tried to openly communicate with her, but she always took it horribly. She would adopt a 1,000-yard stare and then begin talking about how incompetent she is and how she can't even make her husband a proper dinner. I try to calm her down with, oh honey, that's not the case, I just eat too much, or don't worry about it, I can make a bit more. I try to be overwhelmingly positive. It never helped. She would always just get incredibly disappointed in herself, cry, and or take it out on me. And then she would make the same exact amount the following day. After the communication route failed, I tried to eat her dinners as is. It became hard to sleep at night due to hunger, and I lost 7 pounds in the first month. Eventually, I figured out my own system. On my way home from work, I started swinging by a fast food restaurant and getting myself a burger. I would basically pre-game her meals with some more calories. I figured it was a win-win, as what she doesn't know can't hurt her, and I could have my fill of food. I would eat on my way home, walk in the door, pick at the salad or quinoa or homemade mac and cheese she made, compliment her for her delicious cooking, and later dispose of the wrappers discreetly. 2 days ago, I was on my way home and in line at a drive-thru. My mother-in-law was coming out of the restaurant. She ran over and greeted me. I asked her in a humorous way not to tell her daughter where she saw me because she'd take it badly, and she agreed. But then she knocked on me anyway. I got home to a furious wife who demanded details. When I provided the truth, she got extremely angry and looked legitimately hurt. I'm not good at handling confrontation and feel like I betrayed my wife in some way. Was I wrong here? I think it's a little more concerning that she goes full-on passive-aggressive when you bring up a concern to her. That's not good. That's a red flag. Instead of being open and taking your feedback and saying, hey, maybe I'm doing something wrong, she went full-on defensive mode, which is not good for now or the future, so. Am I wrong for neutering a cat that was clearly owned? I run a TNR program for feral cats, nonprofit. What the hell's TNR? Let's Google that. Wait. TNR meaning trap, neuter, return. I catch all of the cats and get them the medical attention they need myself out of my own pocket. I love helping them. A lot of the cats are not able to be rehomed, so I fix them and release them, get them their shots, and hope for the best. I am not a large-scale operation. Recently, I was called to an area overrun with orange cats. They were everywhere, and I mostly ended up handing it over to professionals. I did, however, manage to grab 3 very sweet cats. 2 were terrified, skinny, a little beaten up, but overall friendly. The third one was a little gent. He was tubby, well-groomed, fish pattern collar, the works. My plan was to find his parents and drop him off with a warning to keep him in due to the large amount of traps being set. Then the little sprayed the inside of my car to the freaking max. So apparently he wasn't fixed. I couldn't really tell. He had long hair and assumed he was, so left my covers off. Big mistake. So apparently he wasn't fixed. I debated taking him home or taking him to get neutered with the rest. He was an indoor-outdoor cat, indicated by his collar tag, and with so many strays, I'm certain some were carrying his genetics. Ultimately, I took him with me and got him neutered. No chips, so I called the number on his tag and informed them where their cat was and gave them their time slots to pick him up or have him dropped off. The owners went ballistic. They were cursing me out and came to collect their cat not 20 minutes later, called me a kidnapper, blamed me for their child having nightmares, scared over their cat going missing. I tried to explain that he needed to be fixed if he was going to be outside, but they didn't want to know. They said I should have called immediately regardless. I spoke to my rescue friend who said I was in the wrong. Even though we know we are technically in the right, we didn't have the legal ground to do that, and it wasn't my decision to make. I did apologize, but I have blocked their numbers. The mom is flaming me on Facebook and DMing people I know. I have a duty to care for stray cats. Me knowing an unneutered male was roaming free and not doing anything about it was a concern for the said stray cats. Things are still tense between my rescue buddy and I don't completely disagree. I know I crossed the line even if it was for the greater good. People are finding out and taking sides, so I'm not sure who to really believe was right here. So, am I the asshole? what I would have done, I would have given them a warning the first time saying, hey, we found your cat outside. There's a lot of strays. You can get them pregnant. If I catch your cat outside again like this, roaming around these strays, I'm gonna neuter him. But you just took them the first time without letting them know. And for some people, their pets are like their children. So you did a big no-no.
Would I be wrong if I go on vacation instead of my brother's wedding? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My brother Tom, 36 male, and I, 26 female, have never had a really solid relationship due to our age gap. We didn't spend much time, and by the time I was old enough to develop a personality, he had moved out of the house. For the last 2 years, my brother and his fiancée, Sarah, 32 female, have been planning their wedding, and it's coming up in September. I was asked to be a bridesmaid. I figured it was only out of courtesy since I'm her soon-to-be sister-in-law, but I still took it seriously. I have been a bridesmaid for the last 2 years. Just a few weeks ago, I managed to save up to buy the $800 bridesmaid dress. Overall, in the last 2 years, between group outings to parties, dinners, lunches, clothes, etc., I spent thousands of dollars. Eventually, all the girls in the wedding and I became extremely close, and I started to get hyped for the wedding. Sarah recently got close with her brother's wife, Becky, 30 female, last week, and she dropped the ball on me that she no longer wants me to be a bridesmaid and would prefer if Becky could take my place. It broke my heart a little, but it's her wedding, and it's not my place to tell her how to run it. So I said it was fine. Yesterday, I went to my brother's house to pick up the bridesmaid's dress, and I was going to see if I could return it since it's still within the time frame. Sarah was completely appalled and said that Becky was going to wear it since she and I are the same size. I said that would be fine, but they would have to pay me the $800 for it. Sarah said that Becky couldn't afford it and I should just be nice and let her use it, and said that I could keep it after the wedding. I explained that I'm not just giving away the dress, and I'm not ever going to use it after the wedding. After some bickering back and forth, I just ended up taking it and leaving. My brother and Sarah tried to compromise with me and say that I could be the assistant flower girl, and I felt offended at the offer. After I said no, they then said that Becky could give me $250 for it. Again, I said no, and I returned the dress and got a full refund. I told them that I understand that it's their wedding, but they are being extremely disrespectful to me, and I don't need to deal with it, and I'm not going to go to the wedding. Today, my coworker told me that she has an extra round-trip plane ticket to go to Miami, that she'll sell it to me for half price, plus I would have to pay for half of the hotel, and I could go hang out with her in Florida. The only downside is that I'll be in Florida the week of my brother's wedding. So, would I be wrong if I just go to the party in Miami instead of going to my brother's wedding?
My husband has been cheating on me since November. I talked to the other woman yesterday. My husband, 28 male, and I, 24 female, have been married for about a year. We've been together for 6 years in total, and he moved states about a year into our relationship to be with me in my hometown. Before Christmas time, I noticed a missing sum of money from our joint account and asked him about it. He said he bought something from a friend and I let it go. On Christmas, we went to his family's house, and he insisted he wanted to go out for guys' night and leave me there. When we got back that night, he was very serious and talked to me about how he almost did something that would have disappointed everyone and rescinded his personal growth, but framed it as potential substance use. I asked him for marriage counseling because I felt insane for thinking this amazing man could be carrying on behind my back. On our way home, I found the text messages between him and his AP, but thought it was purely emotional and they hadn't met in person. He agreed to end things and move forward to repair our relationship. I found out he'd still been in contact with her on my birthday about 3 months later, and again, he said he'd end things. After this, I blocked her on his phone, and when she reached out again, he sat me down and we discussed it. I was so proud of him for being open with me. I was disappointed in myself for even having blocked her behind his back, but he said he'd keep her blocked and what's done is done. It turns out that he told her I'd blocked her because I was jealous, but since we were allegedly in an open marriage, it shouldn't have mattered. When I found out on my birthday, I told him that if it happens again, that was it. He'd need to leave. I pay the bulk of our bills due to income differences and our homes in my name, which I now see may have been emasculating for him. Things had seemed great in our relationship since. It felt like we were both making progress in the right direction and actively exerting effort for the good of our relationship. My husband has been no contact with his family for nearly the entirety of our relationship, and over the past weekend, he went to visit his entire extended family. He said it made him so happy and proud to bring me around everyone and see us love each other. I found out yesterday when I finally reached out to the AP that he'd not only been continuously in contact with his AP, but things were much more serious than I could have ever anticipated. He reached out through other mutual connections to get in contact with this woman. He told her we have an open marriage, and I found out that the guy's night he had at Christmas was actually a date with her. We saw each other. I waved them goodbye. They didn't sleep with each other, but that doesn't change what happened. My husband and I sat down yesterday and talked after I tried to stand by my boundary of separating. I just couldn't do it. For reference, we live in the southeastern US, and when I mentioned the boundary, he started booking a flight to Alaska. I love this man and I built a home with him. We both had turbulent childhoods, and while it's not an excuse, I just couldn't bring myself to leave them without a home. Where do we go from here? When we talked, he said that my separation boundary made him feel like I'd already abandoned him, but I never thought it would actually reach this point. Not only that, but I couldn't even follow through. I can't give up, and he seems to think I already did. If you've been through anything remotely similar, please give me some advice if you have any. Please ask me any questions you have, and I'll respond. Oh, AP is a fair partner.
Am I wrong for telling my son's boyfriend that he can't just keep showing up to the house? My youngest son, Tyler, 15 male, has a boyfriend, Marius, 16 male. Now, I like Marius fine, other than the motorcycle he's always driving Tyler on, and the fact that he can be a little rough around the edges. But in the last few weeks, he's literally always around. He comes for dinner or for breakfast and stays long after he should have already went home. He'll also just sometimes be there at the house waiting for Tyler if he's out, like for example at a family outing. I could tell it was starting to bother Tyler and he looked like he might want a little distance. So yesterday, I caught Marius after he dropped Tyler home from football and asked him what was up. I told him I was wondering why he'd been around so much lately, and he kind of just shrugged and wouldn't say much. So I tried to explain the best I could that we love having him around, but maybe we should go back to regular business hours. Or maybe, at least sometimes, maybe my son could go over to his place. He kind of got this weird look on his face and just said fine. Am I wrong for telling my son's boyfriend he can't just keep showing up at the house? I tried to explain the best I could that we do love having him around, but it'd be best if we went back to regular business hours. Or maybe Tyler could go over to his place sometimes. He kind of got this weird look on his face and just said, yeah, fine. This morning, I hear Tyler yelling profanities upstairs, so I go up to investigate and he starts going in on me. He asked me, how could I say anything to Marius like that? A little confused, I asked why he was so upset. He told me that Marius recently came out to his dad, who wasn't taking it great. So he'd been avoiding going home and I basically told him to stay away. I apologized, especially because I didn't know all the details, but Tyler just seemed so uncomfortable with all the attention. Tyler somberly told me that he was, but he was sucking it up for Marius. Y'all, my throat is so dry, so I'm so sorry if in these stories I'm sounding a little weird, but most of the comments just say, why didn't you talk to Tyler first?
Am I the asshole for ruining Thanksgiving? I, 30 female, met my boyfriend, 30 male, 3 years ago. Before me, he was together with his high school sweetheart. They fell out of love and broke up. A year later, we started dating. His mom, however, was still heartbroken about it. I was very understanding and thought she needed time to get to know me. The ex basically grew up with them and they saw her as a part of the family. For the first year of my relationship, his mom would call me his ex's name until boyfriend got angry once and told her to be nice. She laughed it off and said it was just a habit. After that, she started calling me the wrong name. So think Janet instead of Jenny. I corrected her a couple of times, but she seemed to like hurting me, so I ignored it later. My boyfriend has 2 sisters, and a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, we were invited to a barbecue at the older sister's house. I was in the kitchen with my boyfriend's mom, the sisters, and one of their husbands. The older sister then started talking about how my boyfriend praised my cooking to her husband, and the mom was listening. She then said out loud, "Sure, why don't we let Janet," wrong name, "make the turkey this year?" The sisters giggled and looked at each other and said that's a great idea. I didn't tell my boyfriend what happened. On Thanksgiving, we went to his mom's house with the usual wine and dessert. She was shocked. Everyone was shocked. I said, "What?" "I thought Janet is bringing the turkey." There was yelling, crying, and then we got kicked out. My boyfriend is so angry with me he hasn't talked to me since. I think it's over, to be honest, but I still don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? That is so fucking great. I fucking love everything about that. Am I the asshole for choosing my family over a kid I may have accidentally fathered? I, 30 male, spent a month in Germany when I was 22. There I had hooked up with a woman, Sia, 35 female. Now, it was very casual and we used protection. Around 2 weeks back, she found me on Instagram. I only took up Instagram very recently and told me that we had a son. She couldn't let me know earlier because she didn't know my mail ID and I didn't have any social media platform and my number wasn't active. I can't use that phone connection in my country. She wants me to meet him and be a father. Thing is, I have a family here. I got married around 5 years back and have 2 children. I can't just get up and leave. I love my wife very much, and she would be heartbroken if she gets to know this. I can lose my family over this. I told Sia I cannot be there for them. I don't know her kid. I don't know if the kid is mine even. While timeline checks out, we weren't in a relationship or exclusive, just a couple of casual hookups. I cannot lose my family and my life I have built over a kid that may or may not be mine. She got furious, telling me I had a responsibility to my child. I don't deny it, but I have responsibility to my children here as well. The ones who know me as dad. I cannot choose her kid over my kids here. She called me an absolute asshole and a moron. So am I the asshole? He just found this out. He has yet to tell his wife, I'm assuming. Okay. Probably the best protocol is 1, go to your wife and tell her. Throwaway account, because this is really personal. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds and I was 125 pounds. While unconscious, on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and I dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married and almost immediately she gave birth to our daughter. I had a great job and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, she, my wife, gave birth to our son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it, and the next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about this lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at that lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had an epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper, and it was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and I opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged/walked me across the sidewalk and grass and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seemed he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive and give CT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says.
Am I the asshole for insisting my pregnant sister switches bedrooms with me? My sister and I, both mid-20s females, I'm a few years older, share a house together. It was our parents' house that we both inherited after they died. We have equal share/ownership of the house. The house has 4 bedrooms. One is the master room and has an ensuite and a walk-in wardrobe. The other 3 just have built-in robes. When we both moved back in after deciding that neither of us wanted to sell, we agreed that she could have the master suite, but the 2 largest of the other bedrooms would both be mine. One is the actual bedroom and the other is for a gaming room for me. The last and smallest bedroom is a guest room. Her boyfriend has been living here for a while and she recently told me that she's pregnant. I'm not particularly looking forward to sharing the house with a screaming baby, but it's her house too and she has every right to be here and raise her kid. Obviously the baby will need a bedroom and I was expecting that to be the guest room. It is the smallest bedroom in the house, but it is still the same size as a standard bedroom. but my sister wouldn't go for that. She's insisting I move my stuff out of the games room so that it can be for the baby room. I told her that I'm not moving my stuff into the guest room because that wasn't our agreement. But she then informed me that actually I won't be able to do that either, as we would still need a guest room, especially with the baby coming, as her boyfriend's family will want to visit. So I said, fine, you can have my games room if you move into my room and give me the master room. She started crying and said that as a mother, she's going to need her own space and she deserves the master bedroom. I asked what she expected me to do, and she said I could just suck it up and keep all my crap in my own room. We were at an impasse, and I can't get her to come to a real agreement with me. She keeps calling me a huge bitch and says that I should let her have both the master bedroom and my gaming room because she needs them more. Her boyfriend says I should just deal with it. That because I don't want kids anyway, I should just suck it up. My girlfriend, who also spends a lot of time here, is on my side and says my sister is being spoiled and an entitled little brat. Am I the asshole?
Absolutely not.
Right? What?
It is very entitled of her. Like, okay, she's pregnant. Why don't they move out?
Yeah, go buy a bigger house.
Why don't they move out?
Because
What
they
the
live there
heck?
for free. Because they live there for free.
Okay, well, maybe you could sell the house, split the proceeds, and everyone could buy their own house if that's the true issue. Am I the asshole for saying no to my in-laws taking our kids to Disney? My male 28 wife, female 28, and I have 2 daughters, 6 and 5 years old, which is prime Disney age. They're both super into princesses and all that. We've talked about taking them to Disney over the next few years as we know they would love it. My wife has never been before, and I've only been once, when I was 10 years old. It was definitely a memorable trip for me as my family had to save up for a while. We'd always know that Disney would be our big trip with our girls. In July, my father-in-law got diagnosed with prostate cancer. After a few rounds of chemo and some rather intense stays at the hospital, it's only gotten worse. It spread across to other organs in his body, and rather than trying to suffer to fight it, he's opted to just not do chemo and try to live with what time he has left. As a result, him and my mother-in-law have decided to make more memories with my family. One of these memories is taking our daughters to Disney and surprising them with a trip yesterday during Christmas. At first, I thought my wife would be against it as well. We've always said we'd wanted to get the experience taking them and seeing their faces. However, I found out that my mother-in-law cleared it with my wife last month. My wife didn't tell me because she thought I would be surprised and excited for our daughters. I sat through all the rest of the night, but when we got home, we had a serious discussion about it. I told my wife that I didn't want our daughter's first trip to Disney to be without us. She suggested we go along, but the trip is in February, and booking flights and hotels and tickets for just my wife and I for the time they're going is still going to be almost $5,000. I told my wife that we have to talk to her parents and decline the trip, but my wife is saying that I'm being selfish and heartless by robbing our daughters of this experience and robbing them of core memory with my father-in-law before he passes. Am I being out of line here?
Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to leave the house because she's not cooking? I work a job and she's a stay-at-home wife. She does all the chores and cooks amazing food, so I'm fine with it. I make enough and have inheritance for the both of us anyways. Now Friday, I came home to my dirty clothes on the couch and no food for me. I was surprised at this. I asked her what was all this, and she said she was sick of babying me. I asked her what she meant, and she said that she talked to her friend who talked sense into her. She told my girlfriend that she was raising a man-child, and that she was becoming a replacement of my mother to me since she does everything. I was shocked that she believed all of this crap, and we had a huge fight, and the next morning nothing changed. We kept fighting, and on Saturday evening, I had enough of this. I told her that she would have 10 days to leave the apartment and find herself a place. I told her I wouldn't be her father anymore by paying for everything, and she would have to make arrangements if she was going to continue behaving that way. We fought and she left to her friend's place. Am I the asshole for this?
My boyfriend went on a vacation with his ex behind my back. Should I break up with him? Disclaimer, I look extremely tired because I've been filming for 7 hours. I'm not sad, don't worry. Storytime was sending me an Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 6 months only. Here's the thing, we never bring up our exes, like ever. From my perspective, I thought we had a really healthy relationship. We're both really into fitness, would work out together every single day, and we made time to cook together every single day. He asked me to move in with him 2 months after we started dating, but I said no. I explained to him that I just wasn't ready for that, and he got really upset. That's when things started changing. He began making up excuses about not being able to hang hang out with me, and sometimes he wouldn't even show up to our gym dates. And I guess one of the mistakes that I made was giving him his space. A few days later, he calls me and tells me that he is in Boston for a work trip. He didn't even tell me he was going on a trip. I just said okay. Then I tracked his location on my phone and it turns out he's in the Bahamas. He forgot that I could track his location. I started investigating and you'll never guess what I found. Part 2 is up. My boyfriend went on vacation with his ex behind my back. Should I break up with him? Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's gonna be on Instagram. Also, I'm just really tired from filming. I'm not sad, I promise. After checking his location and seeing that he was actually in the Bahamas and not Boston where he told me he was going, started doing some investigating on Instagram. I scanned his Instagram for people that he tagged. I finally came across his ex's profile. No, I had never done this before just because I didn't care about his ex. Like I said in part 1, we never talked about our exes. Fortunately, her account was set to private, so I couldn't see her pictures or stories. But I did see on her bio that she was currently in the Bahamas. From his location, I could see what hotel he was staying at. So I called the hotel and asked for his room number. And they put me through. My boyfriend answered the phone. And the first words out of his mouth were, "How did you find me here?" I told him I could see his location and that he must have forgotten. That's when he came up with his lie. His boss asked him to go to the Bahamas for emergency business, and that he didn't have time to call me and tell me about it. In the background, I could hear that somebody opened the door and I heard a woman's voice. He instantly hung up on me. So I called his phone, but he wouldn't answer. In fact, he turned his phone off. It wasn't until 4 days later that he actually showed up to my apartment apologizing. He said his phone broke and that he couldn't get one while he was in the Bahamas. Part 3 is up. My boyfriend went on vacation with his ex behind my back. Should I break up with him? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sent me on Instagram. After 4 days of not hearing from my stupid boyfriend who was in the Bahamas, finally showed up to my apartment to apologize. I told him not to even bother because I knew that he was with his ex. Then he said, "You're right. I'm not even gonna lie to you." Then he came up with this whole story. He clearly had 4 days to think about it. Told me that his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend died and that she was in need of his help. She asked him to go to the Bahamas to spread her boyfriend's ashes. And of course, being the gentleman that he is, he said yeah. And that the only reason he didn't tell me was because he didn't want me to get jealous. So I asked him to confirm his story. I told him to call his ex and put her on speaker, and he refused. He said that I was being toxic and that doing that to his poor ex would bring up all the feelings she had from her boyfriend's death, and that she was grieving and I needed to respect her space. Gaslighting much? I told him I wouldn't believe him and then I kicked him out. He told me I was being so insensitive towards him. So I asked his ex on Instagram if the whole story was true. She hasn't opened the message and I'm still waiting for her to reply. It's been a few days since that happened and my boyfriend keeps coming back to my apartment with flowers and champagne. He keeps apologizing and asking me not to break up with him. I know you're all thinking I should just leave him, but I really, really love him. And maybe the story is true. He shouldn't have lied. I can't confirm his story. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for showing up to guys' night after my husband didn't come home when he said he would? My husband has been hanging out with his guy friends every weekend for about a month. It generally doesn't bother me at all, but lately he has been saying, quote, "I will be home after this beer." And that one beer turns into 6, and him coming home in an Uber around 3 to 4 a.m. And well, I want to hang out with my husband. There's never any ill blood or fighting about it. I know he needs his friends, as we are currently going through a stressful time and he needs to decompress. However, when he went out on Saturday, I told him, quote, "If you aren't home by 8, I'm coming to find your ass." He laughed, said he would be home by 8, and that was it. Well, by 9, he still wasn't home. I knew this was going to happen, so I planned it all out. I'd already gone to the store and picked up a 30 rack, and this is actually kind of embarrassing, but I threw on some of his clothes, put my hair up, and put a hat on to make myself look more manly, and headed over to his buddy's house, where I knew he was. When I walked through the door, my husband starts dying laughing and bear hugs me. His buddies, I'm close to 3 of them, were also heavily amused and thanked me for the beer. There was no issue there. However, one of the guys that I don't know all that well lives next door, and his wife came over livid at like 2 a.m. and starts scolding him about being out so late, etc., etc. They have a baby at home, so it's 100% understandable. As soon as she saw me standing there, shit hit the fan even more. She started accusing him of lying about it, being guys' night. I did interject and say that I actually invited myself after my own husband didn't come home when he said, but she just put her hand up to me and told her husband to get home. I thought that would be the end of it, but my husband actually got a text from this guy yesterday saying that me showing up caused serious issues in his marriage and that next time he should tell me to, quote, "stay the fuck home." My husband obviously laughed it off and said it isn't my fault there's issues in their marriage and that he was amused by me showing up. But now I feel utterly terrible. Am I the asshole?
No, I don't think so.
Bro.
No, like this clearly isn't the first time something like this has happened.
I find that as well, like, they're very, like,
heavily invested in each other's life. Like from the time like that. Yeah. From the time that the colleague already knows like
the wife.
Someone else's wife or the children's names, I'm like, I barely know your name.
It's just teams. It's just teams.
Honestly.
Do you know another thing that they do? Obviously, there's nothing wrong with this, right? But like, they'll just start speaking about their partner.
I was just about to say this.
That's
exactly what I was going to say. You didn't just say the name. Yes. Oh my God. We're living the same life.
I don't know Alice.
A1. We're actually living the same life. Those be like me and Jonathan every week. I'm like, who is that, bro?
Is that your dog or your son? Is it your dog or your son? I want to know. I don't
even their dog name, they'll say it.
Yeah, Big Dog.
I don't know. Oh my God. I just be like, am I supposed to like sometimes I even be like, damn, I got
Let's be dropping names that I care, bro.
Oh my God.
I'm an asshole for threatening to tell my husband's sister and her husband about the tracking device my husband put in her car. Very recently, I found out my husband has been installing tracking devices in his sister's car. He's a mechanic, and while he was fixing it for her, I confronted when I found out, and he refused to tell me what was going on or expand on the situation. His sister and I are close. I told him I was going to tell her and her husband, but he lashed out saying that this has nothing to do with me and that I was out of line to even get myself involved. He told me it's complicated and he can't say anything to me about it and that I should keep my nose out of it. We had an argument and he started avoiding me, saying that there's going to be an issue if I keep going through with my threat. Some more context, I heard him talking to his mother about it, and he even said that his mother knew about the device, but I kind of doubt it because she's also close to my sister-in-law. And when I was listening in on their conversation, it did not sound like he was talking to his mom.
My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimer, not my story time, is send me on Instagram. My husband and I have a really toxic relationship. When he and I first started dating, I was extremely jealous. I would instigate fights almost every single day. Now that we're married, I'm definitely less jealous, but he's always been jealous throughout our relationship. He tries to control everything I do, down to the way I dress and even the people I can or cannot hang out with. He even insisted that I quit my job, which I did. He's invested a lot in Tesla and crypto, so he makes a lot of money without having to leave the house. Which, yes, is totally amazing, but that means he and I are together all the time. And with his jealousy, sometimes I just can't stand him. I've tried to help him with his jealousy because I used to be in that place. And when I try to talk to him about it, he just gets mad at me. Whenever he sees that I post something on Instagram, he gets angry. He says that I'm looking for attention, which of course I am, but not from guys. Everyone posts on social media because they want to show off their life. A little on my sister. We're identical twins, and we're really, really close. Unfortunately, my sister got laid off from her job last year. That's when she decided to start her OnlyFriends. I support her in everything she wants to do. She's actually making really good money from it, so she's really happy about it. A few days ago, I got on my husband's phone to look for something. When I see my sister's pictures, part 2 is up. My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimers are not my story time, as on Instagram. A few days ago, I got on my husband's phone to transfer some money from his account to mine. When I started looking for his banking app, I noticed something else on his screen. I had never seen this before, so I clicked on it. And as soon as I opened it, I see my sister's pictures. And I knew it was her OnlyFriends right away. By the way, I had never told my husband that my sister had an OnlyFriends. She wouldn't even post about it on her social media. So the fact that he found it makes me believe that he had my phone bugged or something. But here's the thing. He was using a different name for his account. So it was likely that my sister did not know it was him. From there, I could see that he was following a bunch of other girls. And when I went to their messages, he had paid over hundreds of dollars every single day to all of these girls. Can you imagine how much money that is? My husband came into the room and saw me on his phone. Of course, he didn't freak out because he never thought that I would find it. But I confronted him right away. But he didn't even flinch. He said he had every right to go on OnlyFans because it was the same thing as going to any website. I told him to at least unfollow my sister, and he said that he wouldn't. He said he loved it because it was like watching me do naughty things. Then he said, "Isn't this better than cheating on you?" I was flabbergasted. Part 3 is up. My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimers are not my story time. It's on Instagram. That's when he told me that it was better than him cheating on me. And I was shocked. I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I threatened him. I told him that if he didn't stop following my sister, that I would start my own OnlyFriends account. Like I said, he's really jealous. So he went berserk. He ripped my phone out of my hand and threw it against the wall. Then he told me that the only reason he asked me to quit my job was so that I wouldn't be around other men. By the way, I used to be a personal trainer, and most of the time I would only train women. I told him that my sister and I wouldn't be comfortable with him looking at our OnlyFriends. It was so disturbing. Oh, and I also told him that he needed to stop controlling me, and that I could buy my own phone with my own money and start my own account. Then he came to his senses and started to apologize.
And I also told him that I was suspecting that he bugged my phone and that he was receiving my messages because there was no other way he could have found out about my sister's account. Then he calmed down and explained things to me. He said that he had bugged my phone a few months ago because I was posting too much on Instagram and it was bothering him. So basically, he has access to my DMs and all my text messages. Promised to stop doing that and that he would buy me a new phone. And that's how he found out about my sister's OnlyFriends. He said he only signed up out of curiosity and that he only wanted to see a few pictures and then delete it. But the more he kept looking at her pictures, the more he would think of me and that it turned him on. And in front of me, he deactivated his account and deleted everything. He promised me that he would never do that again. Of course, I haven't forgiven him though. Haven't even spoken to him in days. But every time he sees me, he tries to kiss me and hug me. And when I push him away, he tries even harder. Honestly, I think he likes it. I do believe that he's secretly addicted to drama and that he thrives on it. I'm planning on never telling my sister about it. I don't think she'd feel comfortable around him ever again. I mean, I don't feel comfortable around him right now. I'm so confused and I don't know if I should leave him or not. He's so controlling all the time. What should I do?
My sister, 30 female, got married yesterday. I, 32 male, was so happy for her and agreed to help her out. She told me that the wedding was child-free, which I understand. So I asked my best friend if there was any way he could watch my son, and he agreed. I arrived at the wedding and found that it was not child-free. There were probably 15 children there. I was confused, but didn't want to make a scene, so I waited until my sister came over to me, and I asked her what the deal was. What she told me broke my heart, and I don't know how I can look at her the same way again. She confessed that my son, 12 male, was excluded because he has an amputated leg. She said that it would draw attention to him at the wedding. I almost lost it. I could understand if he was going to be disruptive or something, but because of that, I didn't trust myself in that moment. So I just walked out and went home. When I got home, my son asked me why I was back so early. So I made up some excuse and then spent the rest of the day having fun with him because it was the only thing keeping me sane. Since then, I've been getting dozens of messages from people saying how me leaving caused my sister to start crying and the whole wedding was ruined. But I honestly don't care right now. I'm a mess. I'm a single dad, so I don't have someone to help me right now. But these messages are actually making me wonder, am I the asshole?
No, absolutely not. That's disgusting behavior. And I'm glad that her wedding was ruined.
Am I wrong for asking my girlfriend not to cheat? So my girlfriend confessed to me that she has had a relationship with a coworker and added that last Wednesday she slept with her. Oh. There's nothing wrong with homosexuality, being trans, or even being bisexual. I thought she and I were going to have a relationship just between the two of us. So when she confessed about the cheating, she told me she doesn't have any regret, and if I loved her, I'd forgive it.
Oh, no. What the fuck? Yeah. Pull the reverse Uno, go do the same thing and see if she feels the same way.
Exactly. So I asked her if she could choose between that other woman or her. She told me that I'm trying to be controlling. She claimed it's not cheating if there's no penetration.
No, that is not true at all.
So women
can't
cheat on their significant other?
There's so many other ways. There's like emotional cheating. You can cheat by flirting with someone. Like different people have different levels of what cheating is.
I asked if this meant she wanted to break up, and she told me I'm being over dramatic. Then she proceeded to tell me that we're not breaking up, and I asked then what about the other lady? She told me that she's allowed to still do things with her if she so pleases. And I'm being abusive if I say no.
I think you're broken up, bro.
This is the worst case of gaslighting I've ever seen.
It's 101. Gaslighting 101 for sure.
No, we're not breaking up. And also, this is not cheating. You're abusing me.
I asked if it meant she wanted an open relationship, to which she kicked my groin and told me that I'm being a pig.
No. This
Get out! That's abuse!
This is abusive. First of all, gaslighting, and then physically assaulting you.
Abuse, yeah.
And then just it seems like emotional abuse, like degrading you, saying like, no, you can't feel like this is cheating. You can't feel upset about this. Like, you have to be okay with this. Like, that is abuse and gaslighting 101, as John said. Like, that is not okay. Get out of that relationship.
So I tried asking some friends and family, but they mostly said that I'm letting her whip me, and my own mother told me to grow up and be a man.
Damn.
So I don't want to lose her because our relationship was the greatest thing to happen to me. She used to be really nice towards me until recently. She said if I break up with her, she'd let everyone know how much of an abuser I am.
What the fuck?
I don't know why, but when I asked it on Quora, I had people write insults towards me like wimp, dumb, coward, and some inappropriate words as well. I'm not sure what to do, and I'm just sad because I love her. Please let me know what I should do. Thank you, and stay safe.
No, dude, I'd get out of this. I don't think it matters what she calls you. Just get out of there. That is very toxic and not good for your mental health. For everyone calling you a wimp, those people. Holy
those
shit.
people, exactly.
Domestic abuse is a serious thing. And when you're in that situation, it is hard to get out of. And you feel like you can't and you're stuck sometimes. But for people to call you weak and stuff, it disregards like so many like aspects of relationships. These people have never been in relationships probably. You got to get out of there and then you'll find someone much better. I promise. Like this person is controlling, abusive, and gaslighting and manipulative and all of the red flags. All of the red flags. So get out of there for sure.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter-in-law she wasn't invited due to her weight? We have done plenty of things that are not physically taxing with her, but even the small stuff, she ends up on a bench half the day. We went to a small mall, half of the day on the bench. It was window shopping. She's obese, her ankles are swollen from her weight. The connection between her weight and not walking far without a break is very obvious. Post. I will try to keep this short. I have 3 girls and we still like to do girls trips for the day. My son got married to a girl named Beth. Now before her kids, she was an average weight and after it got a lot worse. Her only kid is 8 years old at this point and she hasn't lost the weight. It's bad enough that she needs constant breaks walking. I used to like her and now I don't due to how she acts. Everywhere we go, it is constant complaining that she's tired. The last girls' trip to the mall was spent sitting on the bench half the day since she needed a constant break. If you try to leave, she'll go on about abandoning her. It's annoying. I invited the girls to go to a farm for a pumpkin patch and pick some apples. It was a big orchard and tons of walking. We went and it was a great time and some pictures went on Facebook. I got a call from Beth asking why she wasn't invited.
Everything was normal. He was really affectionate, loving. He made time for me. He would think of really creative dates. But anytime I didn't say thank you for the smallest thing. For example, if he opened the door for me and I didn't say thank you, he would get upset. Sometimes he'd make breakfast for me, and if I didn't say thank you in a very enthusiastic way, he would get really upset. After the 3rd month, he started accusing me of being ungrateful. And then after that, he started getting really jealous. He hadn't done this before, so I thought it was just a phase and that it would pass. But unfortunately, it did not. He started convincing himself that anytime I got a phone call, it was from some guy that I had met. Even going to the gym became a problem. He started asking me if there were any guys at the gym that I liked, or if anybody was approaching me, and God forbid if anybody looked at me on the street. He would somehow blame it on me. It got to the point where I wouldn't even want to go out with him. One day he decided to take me to this really fancy restaurant. Everything was going really well. He was acting like a normal boyfriend. But as soon as we sat down, I started getting this weird vibe from him. It's like he was absent. He wasn't there. He stopped talking and got really quiet. When I asked him what was wrong, he told me there was a table of 2 guys that kept staring at me, and that it was obvious that they knew me from somewhere, and that I obviously knew them too. Where did he get this stuff? I turned around to look at the guys, and they were middle-aged men who weren't even looking at me. Maybe one of them just happened to look at me when we came in. I ended up having to apologize. A few weeks ago, my period got really weird, so I decided to take a pregnancy test. At first, I told my parents and I told them that I didn't want to tell my boyfriend. My dad told me I was being silly and to just tell him, so I did. And when I did, his reaction was terrible. He told me that the baby probably wasn't his and that I was cheating on him for sure. Then he said that as soon as we could, we were going to get a paternity test. One night he made me dinner and I got really sick afterward. I started vomiting and I hadn't had any pregnancy symptoms, so I knew something was wrong. Instead of telling my boyfriend, I actually just went straight to my parents' house. They took me to the ER and there they told me that I probably ingested something that wasn't good. Now I'm thinking you might have put something in my food. What should I do?
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you, and this one is from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut? Asked my wife to help with the kids. Feel like there's probably more to the story. I'm hitting the red flags here because the way it was worded leads me to believe that OP decided for themselves to use their bonus for themselves. I managed to stay within budget, but I booked myself a 2-week vacation to Hawaii. Okay, so the bonus that OP got for themselves, they used to book themselves a 2-week vacation to Hawaii without their family. Okay, of course, this meant Lisa had the kids at home full-time while I was gone. When I returned, Lisa was exhausted, and I initially agreed to take the kids for the afternoon on Saturday so she could have some time to herself and unwind. Oh wait, okay. So, hang on. 2-week vacation by yourself in exchange for 1 afternoon off. My cousin ended up inviting us to a barbecue the same day, and my cousin is one of my best friends, and I knew other childhood friends would be there. Lisa wasn't sure about going, but I told her everyone would be happy to see her and the kids, plus I'd watch them so she could relax and have a drink or two. The day of the barbecue, the kids were out of control, crying, screaming, fighting, not listening or following directions. It was impossible to have a conversation or catch up with my cousin or friends. I repeatedly walked over to Lisa to ask her to give me a hand with the kids. Each time she declined and said I agreed to watch them, and this is her downtime. After another hour of chaos, I ended up yelling across the yard, "For once, can you please get off of your effing ass and help me with our kids?" Like once is all I'm asking for. So let me get this straight. There's more to the story. However, I'm gonna use my bonus when I'm, the main breadwinner for the family. I'm the main supporter of the family. I got a bonus from work after some discussion, which means I've told you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use the bonus just for me. I'm gonna go on a 2-week vacation without you. You're gonna handle the kids while I'm gone. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna tell you that I'm going to watch the kids for the afternoon to give you an afternoon off since you watched them the whole time that I was gone for 2 weeks sunbathing in Hawaii. But I'm not really going to follow through on that. I'm going to convince you to go to a barbecue, still telling you that I'm going to watch the kids the whole time. But then once we get there, I'm going to renege on that and be like, hey, get off of your effing A and come help with the kids for once. And make you look like a piece of shit in front of everyone that's at this party. We haven't finished the story yet. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and fly up to AskCon 1 with the additional title of the Brozo Award. Hershey cookies and cream kisses.
How's this guy still married? How is this guy's wife
Not been like, no, why am I still doing this with this jackhole of a walking penis? How has she not divorced this man yet? Okay, I'll finish the story. Okay, fine. Lisa stomped over to me and started whisper yelling that I was breaking my promise to let her have time to relax. She didn't want to be here and feels like I basically made her go. She's basically right, man. I tried explaining that these are people I don't see very often and to please not make a scene. Hold on! Hold on! Hold on! Okay, hold on. Lisa, will you please get over here for once to get off your rear and help with the kids for once? Lisa, please don't make a scene. Wait, didn't he just make the scene? Only wanted to pawn off the kids on me / she's taking advantage of me. I wonder how the that happened, man. Lisa burst into tears and yelled at the people standing nearby that made the comments for them to all go to hell. Told me basically to go myself, took the car and left. She returned a few hours later to pick me up and the kids. We didn't speak to each other on the drive home. Later that night, I tried talking to her that the kids were having a rough day and I just needed her help for a bit so I could finish a few conversations and I would have taken them right back. Lisa objected that wasn't fair and she had the kids all alone for 2 weeks while I was in Hawaii. She also said that's not what upset her the most. It was how I phrased what I said and how I let people insult her and didn't immediately jump to her defense. I told Lisa those people don't know her like I do and have no idea how hard she works to take care of the kids, our house, and run her Etsy shop, nor did I have time to react before she ended up leaving. Am I the asshole? Yes! You didn't have time to react before she ended up leaving. What did you do after, Captain Dicknot? What did you do after? Did you explain yourself? Did you explain the deal that you made, that you broke? Did you explain why you had to make that deal in the first place? Did you explain that this was an extremely lopsided deal and you had just gotten back from 2 weeks in Hawaii and yet couldn't handle the afternoon with the kids that you promised her? Did you explain all that? Because I feel like if you did, they would have called her and apologized and she would have known that you had explained yourself, but you didn't because you didn't want to look like a dick knot in front of all these people. You didn't want to look like the lazy parent. You just wanted to make her look like one. You, sir, as we've already established, are absolutely an AskCon 1 and a brozo. You don't deserve to be married to this person. You don't deserve to be the father of these children. You're going to lose your wife for sure. You're going to end up not seeing your kids very much because that would require you giving a shit and actually taking care of them instead of only caring about yourself, you piece of shit. Maybe just go back to Hawaii and stay there. Maybe that's the best thing for everyone. Oh, but by the way, since you've been the primary breadwinner, get ready to pay child support and probably some alimony too. Wonder how many Hawaiian vacations you're going to be taking yourself to after that.
Am I the asshole for mentioning my best friend's former crush on me in a speech at his wedding? Okay, I'm currently in a predicament, and frankly, I could use some opinions. For backstory, I, female 27, met one of my best friends, Christian, male 26, back in 2010 during our freshman year of high school. We became friends and remained close over the years since, making a lot of great memories and sharing mutual close friends. From 2013 to 2016, Christian had pretty serious, unrequited feelings for me. However, he eventually got over me, and I had never even let his feelings harm our friendship. If anything, our friendship honestly got closer after he got over me. In early 2018, Christian met Victoria, female 29, at a bar, and they hit it off. They started dating after 2 weeks, got engaged in late 2021, and the wedding happened yesterday night. It was honestly a great time as I watched with my parents and mutual friends as this kid I've known for 12 years was getting married to the love of his life. Plus, Victoria and I honestly had a pretty decent relationship, and according to Christian, she didn't really seem to care about his past feelings as time went on. Anyways, as the night kept going with a lot of music and dancing, I got up to eventually give a speech for Christian. I talked about how we first met, how much our lives changed since then, and just how great of a person Christian was. The attendees were clearly touched, and Christian and Victoria both looked happy. As I talked more about our history, I jokingly mentioned how Christian had the hots for me, but that didn't matter because he found his soulmate, and that our friendship was stronger than some unrequited feelings. Most of the crowd laughed, and I could even see Christian smiling for a second before seeing Victoria's confused face. Polarizing. Christian hasn't mentioned any of this to me, and I'm not sure I should ask him. So, am I the asshole?
I would be pissed if I was the bride.
Yeah, I would kind of be pissed if I was him, too.
Am I the asshole for excluding my husband's family from my birthday after they refused to attend our adults-only party? I, female 40s, have been married to my husband, male 50s, for over a decade. We recently built a pool/backyard area at our home in the southern US, and I'm planning an adult pool party for my birthday with coworkers and close friends. My husband's family is very close-knit and mostly socializes only with each other at one relative's house every weekend. We've spent years going there to spend time with them, but they rarely come to our house or accept invitations to restaurants, outings, trips, dinners, etc. They mostly only socialize at that one house. For years, I also hosted holidays for them at my house. I cooked for 20 plus people, cleaned, organized everything, and genuinely enjoyed doing it. But every year, more relatives kept getting invited without even asking us first. One Thanksgiving ended up being around 40 people in my house, and it became exhausting. So eventually, I stopped hosting family holidays altogether. Earlier this year, we hosted a big birthday party for my husband at our new pool. The invitation clearly said adults only and was sent months in advance. The reason was simple. Our house is not childproof. I have indoor cats that get stressed around loud kids, and at previous gatherings, some kids damaged things in the house while parents didn't really supervise. Also, most of our friends actually enjoy having a kid-free night to relax. Well, apparently his family got very upset about the no kids rule. One younger relative later told us the family had been complaining in group chats and saying they wouldn't attend unless kids were included. The thing is, many of them do sometimes go out without their kids, so it felt more like they were offended by the rule itself. Almost nobody came. Out of a large family, only one cousin couple and one younger niece and her husband showed up. To make things worse, one family member who did attend spent the party making uncomfortable comments to guests about our finances, the pool, our vacations, etc. It honestly made the night awkward and embarrassing. Now I'm planning my own birthday party, and I honestly don't feel like inviting most of them anymore. Not to be petty, but because it feels one-sided. We constantly show up for them, but when we host something with reasonable boundaries, they either criticize it or don't come. My husband thinks I should still invite everyone to keep the peace, but part of me feels fake doing that. Am I the asshole if I don't invite them this time?
Am I the asshole for ruining a hibachi dinner? Y'all, I fucked up. You guys were requesting for me to do more videos while surfing in the clouds, and I drank the shit, and this one's not a soda, this one's a tea, and there's something extra in this one. There's something in there, like my eyes is heavy. Like I feel like I gotta buck my eyes to keep them to keep them open. Y'all, this was gonna be rough. I, 52 female, and my husband, 49 male, have been together for over 20 years. He's been out of work, but I make enough to keep us going. Last week was rough for me at work. I was initially blamed for something that my predecessor did. It got straightened out, but there were a lot of meetings, phone calls, and emails, and I was honestly scared that I could lose my job. So Friday night, I just wanted a quiet night at home. My husband wanted to go to his favorite hibachi place. We don't go out to eat much anymore, but I was so tired. He kept pressing, saying, all you have to do is sit there and eat. So I said, okay. I'm sorry. The hibachi place was loud and crowded, but being just the two of us, we didn't wait long, and we were seated with a boisterous group of 6. The chef came out, and as he started cooking, he looked at me and asked if I was okay. Bitch, why are you up? What the fuck is happening here? I nodded and said, yes, I'm fine, thank you. He nodded back and then started bantering with the group of 6. A few minutes later, the chef again asked if I was okay. I assured him, yep, I'm good. He then said, you don't look like you feel good. I've been told that I have a resting bitch face, girl same. So I tried to smile and said again that I was fine. When the chef turned back to the group of 6, he grinned. Then he looked at me again and this time said, are you mad? I was taken aback and said, nope. He mugged the group of 6. And then to me, he said in a comic voice, are you sure you're not mad? Are you mad at me? Like, literally, that's how it's written with like 6 E's. Are you mad at me? The group of 6 then chuckled. One of the women in the group of 6 then said, oh, don't worry about her. She's just what, bitch? Do we even know them? Honestly, listen, it might be because I'm high, but the fact that the chef tried to make a goddamn spectacle of me would have pissed me the fuck off. You asked me once if I was okay. I told you, yep, I'm fine, thank you for asking. You asked me again. I told you, yep, I'm good. You told me that I don't look like I feel good. So I smile at you and then confirm that I am, in fact, all goddamn good. Just for you then to make me into the goddamn joke of the table, talking about, are you mad at me? Wait, I'm supposed to be mad. I'm sorry, you guys. That shit is just too fucking funny to me. Okay, be fucking serious. Be serious. What was I saying? I got it. Like I was saying, this man asked you 3 separate fucking times if you were okay. Then just to go and make you a goddamn joke. I get that, you know, his job is to make sure that everybody's involved and you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself. So if it looks like you're not really into it, to try to pull you into it. I get that 100%. But bro, there's got to be a fucking limit. At some goddamn point, you got to relax. And making me the joke of the goddamn table, that ain't it. That's not okay. Here's where I may be the asshole, because I didn't hear what she actually said after that. There was a burst of noise that, for me, drowned her out. All I know is that after she finished her sentence, the chef and the group had a hearty laugh while looking at me. That's disrespectful as fuck. I was feeling so beat up from the week. I was mortified, and I could feel myself turning red and starting to tear up. So I told my husband to box up my food because I'd be waiting in the car for him. I was getting out of my chair when my husband hissed at me to sit down and stop making a scene. I said, I'm not going to sit here and be made fun of. My husband said, no one's making fun of you. Just eat your dinner. No one's making fun of me except for the 7 motherfuckers at the other end of the table literally looking at me and laughing. But no one's making fun of me? Your husband's a bitch. I ended up sitting through the rest of the meal in the restaurant. The mood at the table turned very quiet. Communication became hushed voices and gestures. Nobody hung around long after the food was distributed. Pretty much everyone, myself included, just put everything into go boxes and left. In the car, my husband complained that I'd ruined dinner. Bitch, I forgot until right now. That was the question you were asking. If you're the asshole for ruining a hibachi dinner, you didn't even do anything. You didn't say shit, but thank you, I'm good, and yes, I'm fine. What the hell? I asked my husband what that woman said about me after the don't worry about her, she's just comment. My husband would only say it was nothing and it wasn't anything to get mad about. After I kept asking him to tell me exactly what she said, he finally admitted that he didn't hear her either. but it didn't matter. It wasn't worth me ruining dinner for the whole table. So am I the asshole? No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. Like I said, your husband's a bitch and he needs to get a job. You had a very rough week at work. All you wanted to do was stay home and relax. But no, you need to get up and go out because your husband's unemployed ass wants to go out to dinner. You then get to the dinner and it's just going absolutely horrible. All you want to fucking do is sit and eat like he said. But instead, you got the goddamn chef using you to make the fucking night of everybody at the table. You decide, I don't want to sit here and be made fun of, so I'm going to get up and I'm going to just go sit in the car. You never told your husband he had to go with you. The bitch could have stayed there and ate his goddamn food since he wanted to go so fucking bad. You just said, I'm going to go outside, bring my food when you come. He's upset that you're ruining dinner because you refuse to sit there and be made fun of over a comment he tells you isn't important, nor is it worth getting mad about, but he don't even know what the fuck the comment was. This girl could have said that you was under the table giving mic checks and that's why you got a bad fucking attitude, and your husband's telling you that you ruined dinner by not wanting to sit around somebody that's talking about you. Girl, no. Fuck no. I think it's time for your husband to go back to work. He's got a little bit too much fucking time on his hands and he's forgotten what it's like to be tired after work and not want to deal with shit, especially motherfuckers that you don't know making fun of you. I think it's time for him to go back to work because this is not how you show appreciation to the person that's been keeping us afloat. This is not how you say thank you to someone that bought your unemployed ass dinner when you could have stayed at home and had a fucking sandwich.
Am I the asshole for not warning my hookup about the snake room? I have a ball python. She's 4.5 feet long, very lazy and chill, and mostly lays under her heat lamp in her tank. When I bought the house, I let her have the run of the room because I have extra space, and I also sealed everything and keep the lid off so she can roam freely. And I also made a big cat tree for snakes. And I have a few aquariums and terrariums in there with my octopus and lizard. And it's important to note that I have a sign on the door that says no step on snake. With that context, I had a guy over at my house for a hookup and we met at a bar, judge if you want. For some reason, he went upstairs to use the bathroom but opened the snake door. Am I the asshole for not warning my hookup about the snake room? He yelled from upstairs and slammed the door and said there's a snake in the house. I said that's my snake and she's chill. He came downstairs screaming at me saying that I should have warned him and that I was a crazy B-word for having a snake in a room. I asked why he was going through my rooms anyways and he said he assumed that I would meet him in my bedroom. I told him there was literally a sign saying the snake was there, but he still called me crazy. Then he walked out and told me I should have told him. Am I wrong for calling the cops on my neighbor after they took a package off my porch? I, 38 female, live alone in the house I grew up in. It was left to me by my mother after she passed away 10 years ago. For the past 4 years, I've had issues with these specific neighbors. For example, there was an issue where their dog would jump the fence and chase my cats. I told them if I saw it again, I'd call the cops, and they asked if I'd be willing to split the cost of a taller privacy fence. I refused, but they did end up putting in the taller fence. Then they asked me to split the cost of taking down an ash tree that was on their property. It was 10% on my property, but I still declined. They'd also thrown some loud parties, which caused me to call the cops. Am I wrong for calling the cops on my neighbor after they took a package off my porch? I'm out of town visiting family for a couple of weeks and have a friend that comes over to my house every day to check on my cats and check for mail. I got a notification the other day that some packages were delivered, so I texted my friend to let them know. Before my friend could get there, I got a notification from my Ring doorbell. I saw my neighbor on my patio and asked him what he was doing, and he said a package of theirs got delivered to my house by mistake. I told him to leave and that my friend would bring over his package. He said he's not waiting, and I told him if he takes it, I'm calling the cops. He shoved the package in front of the camera and said that's my name and address. He took it and I called the cops.
My boyfriend refuses to stop wearing his dead wife's wedding ring and wants me to just accept it. I've, 32 female, been dating Mark, 38 male, for about a year. Mark was married before. His wife died 4 years ago from cancer. It's obviously tragic, and I've tried to be understanding about him still grieving. Mark still wears his wedding ring from her. on his left ring finger, the wedding ring finger, while dating me. At first, I didn't say anything because we were casually dating. But now, we're serious, talking about moving in together, and he still wears it every day. When we go out, people assume we're married, and he doesn't correct them. Last month, I gently brought it up and said I'm uncomfortable with him wearing another woman's wedding ring while in a relationship with me. He said the ring is part of who he is, and he's not taking it off. I said I understand that she was important, but wearing a wedding ring signals he's married to her, not available for a new relationship with me. He got upset and said I'm jealous of a dead woman and trying to erase his past. I suggested maybe he could wear it on a different finger or on a necklace, but not in the wedding ring spot. He said no, it has to stay where it is. I don't want him to forget her, but I also don't want to feel like I'm the other woman in my own relationship. Am I asking for too much? I'm
This
curious.
is hard because
Yeah.
I don't think either of them are wrong. And I also think, like, it actually is normal to be jealous of a dead woman. Like, how do you compete with that? But I don't think he's doing something wrong either.
The top comment on this one is quite simple. He is not ready. He's not your boyfriend. He's her husband.
Am I overreacting? I'm not invited to husband's best friend's rehearsal dinner. My husband, 31 male, and I, 30 female, have been married for 5 years and together for 11. Husband and his best friend, BFF for short, were childhood best friends and their families are very close. I, on the other hand, am not very close to BFF because he lives far away and we don't see him very often. With that said, we get along fine and as far as I know, there's no bad blood. BFF is getting married in 2 weeks. It's a destination wedding and we will be traveling 8 hours by plane and an additional 2 hours by train to attend. Husband is the best man. This past weekend, the wedding party was sent the details about the rehearsal dinner. BFF reached out to husband separately to let him know that no partners/spouses were invited. Okay, no problem. I can hang out with husband's family that night. I reached out to one of his sisters to plan something for that night, and she informed me that husband's whole family, mom, dad, and 2 sisters, were invited to the rehearsal dinner. I don't know anyone else at this wedding, so I'm on my own. I can't help but feel a little bitter that I'm being excluded. I'm okay with the whole no partners thing, but it hurts that the rest of my husband's family was invited. Husband understands where I'm coming from and is a little annoyed on my behalf, but doesn't want to rock the boat. One of husband's sisters, the one that I texted, is pissed and wants to boycott the rehearsal and hang out with me, but she doesn't really like BFF, so she's biased. Mother-in-law and father-in-law won't let her skip the dinner because they also don't want to create any issues. Am I overreacting? I mean, yeah, I think it's weird that the whole family, especially because I think it's different in this situation because it's his BFF, like he said. So that's why all of his family members are invited and going to the rehearsal dinner. So I think it's weird that you wouldn't be going to the rehearsal dinner. I think it's really weird, actually, and rude.
Am I the asshole for reporting my neighbors feeding the deer to our HOA? My neighbor's acting like I'm a straight up jerk, and I really don't see how. But this is my first house, and I'm not particularly up to date on what's considered normal for dealing with neighbors or HOAs. We live on a couple acres in a gated community that's about as far out as you can go while still being in town. And in this neighborhood, we have both a fairly strict HOA and a pretty large number of deer. There are pretty clear guidelines with the HOA about not feeding the deer. Despite this, my neighbor has had a deer feeder set up in the backyard for a decent while, fairly close to my yard. And it has made it where our yards are a deer hotspot in the entire neighborhood. And I by no means dislike deer. When we were looking at the house, in fact, the fact that there were some deers roaming around seemed pretty neat. But at this point, the neighbors bringing a constant swarm of deer around has virtually destroyed a decent bit of the landscaping in my backyard. And I'm worried that my dog is going to manage to get hurt trying to mess with one. Plus, there have been some bear sightings nearby recently, and a lot of the information I've seen says that they can be drawn by any kind of feeders, and the deer hotspot in my backyard is bad enough without becoming a bear hotspot as well. I discussed it with my neighbor multiple times, and each time they were either extremely dismissive or went into a sob story about how their little kids just love the deer so much, and being stuck at home from COVID has been hard on them, and the deer are one of the few things that help them get through it. The last time we spoke, I told them that I didn't want to be unsympathetic, but the deer had done thousands of dollars in damage to my backyard and were getting dangerously used to my dog. So if they didn't do something, I'd have to call the HOA, and made it very clear that I wasn't just saying that. So when they didn't stop, I called the HOA, and the HOA evidently got super pissed at them. Since then, she has left me like 3 voicemails telling me I'm a monster and going on and on about how much of a jerk I am and why would I take away a child's 1 bit of joy during a pandemic. She also keeps going on and on about how calling the HOA is a low blow because neighbors are supposed to stick together against the HOA. When I was always under the impression that the HOA is a neighborhood sticking together, and it's kind of defeating the point of paying almost $200 a month to it if you're going to do your best to pretend it doesn't exist. Anyway, I'm rambling, but am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for swearing at my mom? I, 17 female, have a hard time getting along with my mom, 55 female. Our life hasn't been easy, but it's always been relatively normal. Until one day, my mom came into my room screaming at me to get up and that I needed to pack my bags. Turns out my mom had wasted all of our money on alcohol and gambling. She told me that she owed some money to some super shady people, and to get out of debt, she sold me to a popular band, who I had never even heard of. This story sounds familiar. I told her that no good mother would do this to their child, and she called me an ungrateful brat, saying that I didn't understand the sacrifices she has made to keep me alive so far. I stared at her in shock with my blue orbs and yelled right back, calling her a mother. As the random men broke down my door and started hauling me into a van, I started to feel bad about what I said to my mother. Maybe this is for the best. After spending a week with the band, they're actually pretty nice, and are even talented performers. Oh, thanks, love. But I don't know if you have ever heard of them. I actually think I might be falling for one of the band members. So maybe I do have my mom to thank for all of this, and I should go out and try to apologize. I don't know. Am I the asshole? Well, to me, it sounds like your mum knew what she was doing, and the band members who bought a 17-year-old girl aren't shady at all.
Am I the asshole for buying cheaper steaks for my in-laws?
Like, how cheap are we talking? I mean, it's still steak. I'm curious. So okay, let's see.
Can't give you any identifying information. It's a quiz on who's the asshole or not.
Can't give me the answer key? That's fair.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. We had the in-laws over for dinner, and I made steak, everyone's favorite. I'm a medium rare gal, so is Hubs, so I got us some nice ribeyes, which I cooked in the sous vide and then seared. My in-laws like their meat well done. Beyond well done, honestly. Like, cooked to the point where it practically disintegrates into dust because you've obliterated every drop of moisture within a square mile.
Ma'am?
Straight up shoe leather.
Oh my god, Jesus. Whoa. Just let people enjoy their fucking food, Jesus.
That's crazy, no. I'm so sorry.
I will say there's a point where you burn it, but like, if it's not...
Burned, I think that's alright. But if it's fully like a brick,
Yeah.
don't serve it to me.
Okay, I get it.
You fucked the meat up.
I mean,
fucked
that's
it
my
up.
personal preference also, is I don't want, like...
I guess it's a personal preference, but I also think it's objectively correct.
It's a free country, Sarah.
Nah, it shouldn't be that free. I don't...
Alright, okay, fuck it.
Alright. I'm performing the Reddit person.
Oh, okay.
The person that's like, that's a crime. Because we're on Reddit. We're
And
gonna be
I'm
over
Josh.
emotional. I don't refuse to make it that way. It's not my place to tell someone how to enjoy their meal.
Okay.
They will answer for their crimes when they are standing at the gates of hell.
Little much on that. Let's tone it back a little bit, guys.
I love
Let's tone it
you.
back a little bit.
You're so right, though.
Oh,
But
did you get cheaper steaks for them because you don't want to cook it, because you hate how you cook it for them, but you want the good steaks for you because you think it tastes better for you?
But I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on 2 more ribeyes that were just going to get ruined. They wouldn't even want me to keep the fat cap on there, so they were going to end up as a couple of indistinct gray bricks. So I went ahead and just got 2 quote-unquote manager's specials of a much cheaper cut. We ate dinner to no complaints. They both loved the solid blocks of pure carbon that I served up.
Okay.
But then mother-in-law took it upon herself to snoop through my purse.
What?
For the grocery receipt.
Fuck you. That's not okay. Because we're trying to like steal your like. Why are you snooping through the purse
I don't
anyway?
know. That's crazy. That's wild.
Gotta get my fucking money back from this.
Honestly, kind of par for the course with her, and a whole other can of worms for another time. I feel like it's relevant, but okay.
Yeah, it's very relevant right now.
And I caught red-handed (parentheses gray-handed) end parentheses. They're offended that I served them a second-class meal. I'm over here like, come on. Husband thinks I should apologize since it's kind of a bad look, but my only regret is that I didn't cover my tracks better.
Am I the asshole for pausing my husband's game because he wouldn't give our baby a bath on time? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 23 female, paused the internet on every single device in the apartment because my husband, 23 male, refused to get off the game to give our 8-month-old son a bath on time. My husband does not help with the household whatsoever. He doesn't wash dishes, doesn't do laundry, clean any room of the house, cook dinner, or anything else. He'll come home, throw his uniform onto the floor, and leave it there until the next day. If the house is dirty, he'll scold me and tell me that I don't do anything, like I don't clean enough and I don't cook dinner enough. Our biggest issue is the baby. I'm the main caretaker for our son 99% of the time. I get up with him during the nights that he wakes up crying. If our son is sick, I'm the one who takes off work. I've missed almost 6 weeks in the past 3 months because my husband wouldn't even ask his supervisor if he could stay home one of those days. I recently got promoted to E5 after being up 3 times in a row and taking a hard exam that I studied for. My husband didn't make it this time around and he blames me for it. He said it wasn't a surprise that I made it because my job is easy and all we do is sit at computers all day while he works out in the sun. I paused the game tonight because every night we feed our son and give him a bath at 7 p.m. on the dot. He's always had this routine. After I fed the baby, I told my husband that it was time for the bath. I laid out all the baby supplies and clothes for after the bath. My husband told me to just sit the baby down in the playpen until he's done with the game. I gently told him no, that it's bedtime and I wasn't going to shift our son's routine so he could play the game for an extra hour and a half, and my husband needs to learn how to prioritize. I then paused the game and my husband flew off the handle, threatening to break my phone, and refused to give our son a bath and called me lazy for not doing it instead. He literally hops on the game and plays from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep. So am I the asshole?
My girlfriend and I have been dating for 5 months. Before we started dating, I had a crush on her for roughly a year. It was pretty well known since one of my old friends spilled it directly to her and her friends.
Oh my god.
They giggled for some time, but she never made a move on me or spoke to me about it. We're just classmates and we're not very close. For New Year's, she hosted a birthday party for her 17th birthday. I was 17. Doesn't make sense. Oh, to be young again. I was overjoyed and happily came. It was a great party, though I was mostly off to the side because my friends were mingling with other people.
Been there.
Yeah, feels majorly. A few days afterwards, she came up to me and asked to meet me after school. We agreed at the park, where I was 17, where she confessed she had feelings for me and wanted to be a couple.
I feel, as a 30-year-old woman, listening to you tell this story, I'm like, okay.
But remember, Eilish, when we were 17, everything juicy happened at the park.
Oh, yeah.
It was the place to be.
Like the bus stop.
So this person was over the moon, and they began dating that day. They go on. Our relationship was pretty solid. We didn't get into many fights, but she wasn't all that affectionate, which I was fine with. We never got intimate and mainly did small things like cuddling. Skip to 5 months. She was in my home and in the kitchen, making herself a snack. I love these details. Her phone was buzzing and she asked me to bring it over. Her settings are where you can see the first line of the message, which is a rookie mistake if you're hiding something. The phone also automatically turns on whenever she receives a notification.
Go.
I took a glimpse and it was one of her friends. Take a stab in the dark. What do you think the friend texted her?
Have you done the maths homework? Because they're in high school.
Which is probable, very, very likely. No, something much worse. Okay. The text read something like, when is the breakup happening?
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
No, I also must say, it's this weird thing. It's like a reaction where you feel like you have to laugh when you read something terrible because it's like so out of this world. It gets worse. It definitely gets worse.
Oh, no.
I unlocked her phone since I knew her password. I read a few more messages where they were talking about a prank they pulled on me.
Oh,
I know.
Come on now.
I confronted her about it and she went silent. After some prodding, she confessed. During her birthday, one of her friends dared her to ask me out. She felt guilty when we continued dating for months upon months. It was supposed to be a one-time thing with a simple date at a restaurant. They planned to hook me up with someone and frame me for cheating in the next few weeks, so she had a valid reason to break up with me.
Oh my god.
I know. It also gave the other girls a chance to spread rumours about me. We got into a huge fight and I told her to leave and that we were done. It's only been a few hours and I'm absolutely devastated. I really, really liked this girl and she decided it was a fun idea to pull at my heartstrings. I don't know what to do. Her things are still here at my house, so I'm going to put them in a box and leave it outside. She's been texting me, apologising and trying to explain herself. I blocked her friends' numbers since they were also harassing me.
What the fuck?
I'm kind of assuming maybe the friends were trying to explain why, like justify their actions.
Listen, we've all done stupid things when we were 17. I have to say, I never pranked someone. In fact, I never pranked someone just period. But like, I would never prank someone to this degree, even as a 17-year-old. I mean, this stuff is like trauma. Like, this person's gonna be going through this for like their entire life now. Like, that sucks so bad.
Yeah, and like we do have to make the point that they are children, I guess. But 17 is also quite old to be treating somebody like this.
Yeah.
I kind of was getting the impression that the girl, because of all the months they'd been dating, wanted to stay together. Like, she was apologetic, being like, this started really terribly, but I kind of do have strong feelings for you now, and was like, please forgive me.
Right.
So I think that's where the situation has ended. That's where we are now. It's a really tricky one, but this person is saying, I'm never seeing her again. And I think that's so fair.
I agree. I would just like completely start over.
Exactly.
Am I the asshole for getting my interviewer fired? I, 27 female, went to a job interview for a potential job at a new company. The interviewer, we'll call him Eddie, he was about 30-ish, welcomed me into the office and had me sit down. First thing he did was look at my cover letter, then started asking me questions that seemed a little personal and unrelated to the job. Like if I was in a relationship, whether the color of my eyes was real, or if they were contact lenses. Also, he asked about how I spent my alone time and what type of dudes I liked. Like legit personal questions. Don't know if he was testing how I would react, but I kept it cool until he asked me what was my greatest weakness. I responded by saying, keeping up with your inappropriate questions and having to answer them politely. He looked at me very upset, told me I had an attitude, and it was clear that the interview was over. He told me I didn't get the job, which I found unfair because I didn't think I deserved to lose a job over that. I got into an argument with him and told him that I was going to report him. I went to speak with the supervisor and I filed a complaint against Eddie. The supervisor apologized and he tried to reschedule a new interview, but I was hesitant about it. Later, I was told that Eddie got fired, which made me feel guilty. My mom and dad agreed that his questions were inappropriate, but said that I went too far by reporting him and having him fired. Eddie tried contacting me via email saying that what I did could have been resolved between the two of us and said that he could have even arranged for me to have a new interview, but I ruined it for myself because I cost him the job.